The guy was climbing the stairs. It was obvious that he was very tired. It turned out that the elevator wasn't working, and he had to go up to the 28th floor. He rang the bell, and a disgruntled woman opened the door. The unpleasant woman immediately started shouting that the restaurant was across the street and she would not pay. The guy pointed out that the elevator was not working, but the woman continued to hurl insults at him. And then the guy yelled, "Why doesn't she get her fat ass off the couch and go get some food herself?" But he only said this to himself, and he apologized to the unpleasant woman. The guy told himself to take a deep breath. If she complained about him, he would be stripped of his right to accept orders for a week. What else can he do? The guy scolded himself, saying that it was his own fault, that he was a pauper. Suddenly a gate appeared by the road, and a few years ago, such gates began to open all over the world. These gates lead to dungeons teeming with monsters, a threat that cannot be countered by human efforts. And then the gods, whom they call mythical, chose several representatives of the human race. The mythical gods endowed these people with incredible strength. These chosen ones have taken it upon themselves to fight monsters, and are called hunters. But for simple people like our guy, all this otherworldly stuff was nothing more than an eternal headache. Suddenly the guy got a call, and before he could answer, he was yelled at. He was told that the restaurant had called them to say that they were terminating their services because the guy had been rude to a customer. The guy was banned from accepting orders for a week, and he had to pay rent next week. He complained why the mythical creatures didn't choose him and give him a gift like these hunters. Suddenly, the sounds of a harp were heard from somewhere. The guy received a notification. He had never seen such an application. As soon as the guy clicked on the notification, he suddenly found himself in front of the palace. He wondered if he had been chosen and would be able to get out of the slums and not work as a courier. But it turned out that this was a delivery app, and nectar needed to be delivered. He accepted the order and the gates opened. According to the map, this one is here, in an incredible palace. The guy came in and asked if he should pick up the order here. He came to the door, and he thought if he met one of the mythical ones, he might have a chance to become a hunter. The guy said hello, and the girl said, "He is a human. What is a mortal doing here?" Then the guy showed her the app and said that he had an app and an order in it. The girl sighed and asked to wait a little. Usually people are not allowed to touch such things. Apparently, her brother will make a scene if he doesn't deliver it to him on time. She ordered him not to even think about drinking a drop. The guy wondered what was going on here. He thought he would no longer be a courier. But even from the mythical ones, he received suspicion and warnings not to touch their food. She said that this had to be delivered to her brother, which means he is also mythical. Well then, maybe he will agree to become his heavenly patron. The guy decided that this was the last delivery in his life. The road was not pleasant. There was lava bubbling everywhere, so the guy had to climb several flights of stairs. He came in and immediately said that he was not some kind of thief. He had a delivery for them. The man removed his displeased expression and said that his sister must have sent the guy. This little man turned out to be the brother of that girl. The guy was surprised that they were brother and sister. They don't look alike at all. Maybe they're not related, the guy thought. The man said that this guy was not Hermes and asked how a mortal got here. The guy showed the bottle and said that his sister asked him to pass it on as soon as possible. The man asked. The guy didn't take a sip. And our hero replied that he had not drunk a drop. And suddenly the man laughed and said that one sip would make him a god. Then it dawned on the guy that this was not some simple nectar, but an elixir. Finally, he has in his hands what will help him say goodbye to the life of a delivery man forever. But the man suddenly snatched the nectar and drank it all at once. The guy didn't even have time to ask for a sip. The man praised the drink and said that it seemed like the guy delivered the nectar without the slightest delay. Then he introduced himself. The man's name is Hephaestus, and our hero's name is June. Hephaestus was about to start work, but June stopped him. June said that Hephaestus hadn't paid yet. The guy wasn't going to leave here empty-handed. Hephaestus said that June should have received his reward by now. Already at home, June realized that it was not a dream. He was once again enveloped in this blinding light, and then he returned to Earth. June opened the application and saw that he had 1,000 points on his account. He shouted that he didn't even know where to spend these points. Couldn't he have paid with money? Jun became sad again, because he was close to the mythical, and this is all he got. Is he asking too much? It would have cost him nothing to make him the strongest hunter in the world. Suddenly, June saw that his glasses could be exchanged for goods in the store. But the guy didn't see what he needed. He noticed a moped, which for some reason was expensive. So the guy continued to scroll through the page. There was no equipment for hunters here. Even if he got her, he wouldn't be able to survive in the dungeon. Suddenly, he saw what he wanted. 1 point equals 10,001. By pressing the button, Jun got the money. Then June started pressing this button, and money started falling from above. After that, Jun went to the establishment and ordered himself some delicious food. It turns out that converting to real money really works. He has 800 points left in his account, which is 10 million won, and that's for one delivery. So June was wondering what he was going to do with the money. The news was talking about hunters. A new hunter has joined the guild, who is already preparing for Tartarus, one of the most terrible dungeons. Hank's patron saint is rumored to be the Olympian god Hephaestus. June immediately remembered Hephaestus, however. He doesn't care about that. For him, Hephaestus is the best client in the world. Having eaten his fill, Jun sat on his moped. He received a new order, which made him happy. By clicking on the button to accept the order, he was transported to the garden and was met by the beautiful woman Demeter. June greeted her. Demeter said that her nephew said that June was a delivery man. She was talking about Hephaestus, a strange family. It was unclear who was standing on whom. Demeter said that Hephaestus said that June delivered the nectar very quickly. It seems he can be trusted. Jun replied that he would deliver whatever she wanted. Jun hoped for the same generous reward as last time. He'll probably give her some kind of magic wreath, June thought. Demeter made a lunchbox and asked to take it to her daughter. She herself cannot leave this place. June accepted the order, and suddenly the whole garden withered and Demeter became sad. Everything suddenly became dark. June thought that maybe he did something wrong. And if it's not just a lunchbox, what if it's a bomb? However, what difference does it make to him? The main thing is that they pay. It's for her daughter. Then there's nothing dangerous there. Pressing the button, June suddenly returned to Earth. He is at the station now. He needs to get to the next station. Maybe her daughter lives on Earth. After all, she said that they couldn't leave their abode anyway. He would find out everything on the spot. June had never been so excited about a new order. But then an unpleasant surprise awaited him. Her daughter lives in the most dangerous dungeon in the world. These dungeons are called the Hunter's Grave. Even the best die there. Then June thought that maybe she was waiting for him at the entrance, and not in the depths of the dungeon. But then a map appeared, and as June feared, the daughter of Demeter was in the depths of the dungeon. June shouted that he wouldn't go there. She wouldn't set foot there. He decided to cancel the order. However, everything was much more complicated. He would be punished for refusing the order. They will turn him into a pig. What's worse, they will leave him with his consciousness. There was no choice. He accepted the order, and he needed to get past the security, but he doesn't have a hunting license. For some reason, fried bacon and pork soups now come to mind. Suddenly, he was offered to buy something in the store since he had problems. Jun thought that if he withdrew the money and hired a couple of hunters, but then he noticed an invisibility cap. One use for 8 million won, an artifact that completely hides one's presence, just what he needs. So June decided to buy this hat. He only had 28 minutes. Putting on the hat, Jun became invisible, as did his moped, so he easily entered the dungeon. Well, who would think of eating lunch in a place like this, thought June. June rode into the very depths of the dungeon, passing by terrible monsters. In the dungeon, they immediately found out about June's abilities, or rather, the lack thereof. Despite everything, June is getting closer to his goal. The guy has reached the very depths of Tartarus. But there was no one. June managed in less than 30 minutes. However, there was no one there except a huge three-headed dog. Jun thought that he would have been better off choosing to become a pig. Was this really the end for him? But he still had 200 coins left, and June regretted spending all the money on the helmet. Just as the dogs were about to eat Jun, the girl ordered them not to eat him. Jun wondered what a little girl was doing here. The dogs suddenly became cute when they saw her. The girl said that his dog didn't bite. June thought that this animal was capable of swallowing him whole. Suddenly a man appeared and asked Persephone where she had gone. Seeing June, he said that this mortal dared to penetrate the underworld, which was ruled by him, Hades. Hades said June was the first person in 1,000 years to dare come here, since Orpheus. Suddenly Hades grabbed June and said, Orpheus came to save his dead wife, and he came to steal his helmet. Taking June's helmet, he examined it. The girl offered to listen to him. Then Hades let go of June. The boy fell to the floor and was gasping for breath. Hades ordered June to state his intentions, why he dared to invade his domain. June said he was just bringing a delivery. Hades asked if he had something for him. Then June replied that his wife had sent something to his daughter. Hades asked why he was being delivered by a mortal and not Hermes. June replied that he did not know. The girl, seeing the box, immediately understood that it was from her mother. Hades asked. He said that his wife ordered the delivery. June said that she asked him to deliver it to their daughter, but Hades shocked June by saying that it was his mother-in-law. The guy asked where his wife was. Hades pointed to the girl and said that it was her. Then June immediately said that he was too old for her. Hades asked what he had just told him, the ruler of the underworld. June was scared, but then Hades started laughing. He said that he hadn't laughed like that for a long time. And since he was able to amuse him, he forgives this insolence. But let him not dare tease him anymore, or let him be prepared for the consequences. Then he thanked June for the delivery and returned the helmet. June thanked him. Meanwhile, the guy was fighting a monster. He was from the Wan Ding Guild. Another guy helped him defeat the monster. He said that they were able to clear the first floor. It was the guild leader, Sam. Sam thanked the guys for the work they had done, and people began to shout joyfully. The guy said that Dean did better than everyone else today. Their guild was very lucky to have him. Irene is the deputy leader. Sam asked her to calm down. Sam said he understood that he wanted to collect as many magic stones as possible. But suddenly Irene came down and said that something was coming. Things are bad. They don't have much energy to defend themselves. Sam asked the people to step aside, but they replied that they would go with him to the end. But it was not a monster, but Jun on his moped. Jun told everyone to move away and praised them for defeating the monster. Jun said there are a lot of monsters with black magic living here, so be prepared to repel an attack. 150 million, if measured in years, would be roughly the age of the dinosaurs. This is about 3 times the population of Korea. Let's say you can get 3,001 for each delivery. Then it turns out that Jun needs to make 50,000 deliveries. That's how much money he'll have if he exchanges the coins. 150 million won. Yesterday he was almost turned into a pig. Then he was almost eaten by a dog, and it all ended with Hades strangling him. June had been through a lot, and he was terribly tired. He doesn't care when he has these numbers, but he wants more. Here he realized that he was hungry, and decided to have a snack. He wanted to order beer and chicken. Sam thanked the journalists for the conference. Dean and Irene were there too. Dean praised him. Sam said that after their guild cleared the first floor, he couldn't even sit down. Then Dean said that now was not the time. But he was curious if Sam had mentioned the guy at the conference. Sam replied that they hadn't figured out what it was yet, so he didn't push the issue. He was too tired from fighting, that he even thought about catching up with him. Dean asked if he was a monster. He appeared so suddenly, and they were the only guild that was there. Irene said he was wearing a strange helmet. Dean asked if he was a hunter with magical equipment. Sam asked them not to worry about him. They needed to clear the dungeon, not find out who it was. He plans to task the new recruits with checking all their weapons, but it turns out they need ore. Sam sent Dean to the dungeon because he has a driver's license. Dean reluctantly agreed and asked what he needed to bring. Sam replied, "Heavenly steel." Jun had just received his food when he received a new order. He immediately went to Olympus, which was the abode of Hephaestus. Hephaestus ordered delivery again. June was in such a hurry that he forgot his scooter and uniform. Then Hephaestus appeared very sad. June asked why he was not at home. Hephaestus answered that he was kicked out. June asked what happened. Hephaestus replied that he and his younger brother had a small feast. His wife, seeing him drinking, kicked him out, ordering him to drink elsewhere. Dionysus immediately fled. Hephaestus was left alone. June thought that Hephaestus looked more like a loser than a mythical hero. June asked what Hephaestus wanted to order from him. Hephaestus answered, something to eat and drink. His wife kicked him out before he could taste the food, so he's starving to death. He begged his sister, but she refused, saying that she had run out of nectar. June asked what he would like to eat. Anything would do, like meat and more alcohol. Then June agreed and asked Hephaestus to wait a little. A second later, he came back and said that he had taken it for himself, but would be glad to share it with him. Hephaestus, having drunk it, said that he had never drunk such beer, although the chicken could have been bigger. However, after trying it, he shouted that it was the best meat he had ever eaten, then thanked Jun. Having promised to reward him generously, Jun was paid 150 million carts for delivering the chicken. Hephaestus said that if he suddenly needed his help, he should contact him. Suddenly, a surprisingly beautiful woman appeared and asked if Hephaestus was still drinking. And even here, Jun was captivated by her beauty and didn't even realize how he got down on his knees. Hephaestus replied that she herself had thrown it out. The woman sarcastically said what a fool she was. He was right. June said that Hephaestus should apologize. He was wrong. Then Hephaestus asked his wife for forgiveness. The girl greeted June, saying that she was Aphrodite and asked for forgiveness for her husband. Jun replied that everything was fine. He was happy to take orders from him. Then Hephaestus asked if he could order something else. Aphrodite said that Hephaestus talked so much about him, said that June does her job well. June became proud and said that she was right. Hephaestus replied that then he was counting on him. The guy replied that he had spoken with Aphrodite and that he needed to deliver heavenly steel. This time June's target was Sorry Mine, his heart beating faster and faster. He couldn't believe that he was going down into the dungeon again. Having received the order, he decided to immediately check the delivery cost. This seems like a safe dungeon, but it is much more dangerous than Tartarus. Jun apologized and said that he couldn't go there. When he carried out the order of the Lord Demeter, he almost died. Hephaestus asked what happened. June replied that he was not a hunter. He was not able to fight monsters. He descended only with the help of the invisibility helmet, so the monsters did not touch him. But its validity period expired. Hephaestus asked if the helmet was no longer working and offered to fix it. He is also Hephaestus, the blacksmith god. Once he works on his favorite metal, it becomes mythical. Jun put on his helmet and went into the dungeon. There was a crowd of people there. This dungeon is certainly popular, but this is going too far, thought Jun. He thought that monsters would be his only obstacle. Looks like we'll have to go much deeper to get anything worthwhile. 30 minutes passed. Finally, there was not a soul around, but the road was terrible. But at least the minerals showed up. Juna needs lunar steel. Suddenly, a skeleton appeared, and June turned his moped sharply. Because of this stupid skeleton, Jun injured the moped. Why was he scared? Because Jun is invisible. Jun was already upset about the moped. But then he remembered that he could buy a new one. He drove a little further and suddenly a red glow appeared. It was her, the lunar steel. Jun climbed the mountain. But how will he carry this boulder back? The store offered him help, and there June found a miner's pick. And I was shocked by the price of 47 million won, especially since you can only use it once. Then he remembered that there was a tool rental shop at the entrance. He wasn't going to go broke for some measly pickaxe, but it will be long and difficult to return. Perhaps he should do as he is told. June took the pickaxe and thought about asking Hephaestus to include the cost of the pickaxe in the shipping fee. After one hit, the pickaxe disappeared, but he got a huge piece of moonstone. With difficulty, June put her in the scooter and wished that he could teleport from here to Olympus. Turning around, June saw that the golem had woken up and was screaming fiercely. Dean was nearby and heard screams. Suddenly June appeared and shouted at him to move away, and he advised him to run away if he wanted to live. Dean recognized him and wanted to talk, but June had already left. and then Dean himself understood why June had disappeared so quickly. June came to Hephaestus and yelled that he almost died, but Hephaestus only praised him for his speed. Hephaestus said, so he didn't say it for the sake of beauty, that he almost died. But there was nothing dangerous in this task. He was driving at high speed. That's dangerous. June replied that the load was simply enormous. June brought it and said, Hephaestus didn't think how difficult it would be for him to drag such a boulder. Hephaestus was shocked and asked June what the hell it was. June started shouting that this was the very steel he had asked for and that he should not refuse the order. Hephaestus replied that June had misunderstood him. He had simply never seen such a huge piece. This is the biggest piece of celestial steel he's ever had. June is more capable than he seems. Hephaestus thanked him for this work. And deserving of a greater reward, June checked the app and his account was 500 million won. Hephaestus said this was his reward for the unprecedented size of the ore. June fell to his knees and thanked him. Hephaestus only laughed. Dean told Sam that he saw the courier in the dungeon again. Sam said he heard that Dean was the last one to leave the mine. What happened there? Dean replied that a golem was running towards him, and that the courier had warned him about this golem. Sam was surprised that he ended up in another city so quickly. Dean said that it seemed like the golem was chasing the courier. Sam then decided to check him out. What happened suggested that he might be an unregistered hunter. Dean said if Sam wanted to investigate, he could help. He remembered the make and model of the moped. Sam praised him and said that if he managed to find him, he should tell him that guild leader Vaughn wanted to meet him. In any case, he's glad that Dean wasn't hurt in the dungeon, and he shouldn't worry about the mines closing. Dean thanked the leader. Sam asked if he had managed to get the sky steel, and then Dean realized that he had completely forgotten about it. June lay on his bed, pleased with his wealth. One order had given him 500 million. He needs to start looking for a better place to live. Excluding the cost of the pickaxe, he made 45 million won. However, he is not sure how many more times the invisibility cap trick can be repeated. His knees are shaking the whole time he's been in the dungeon. He needs to see what useful things are in the store. Jun complained that everything there was either too expensive or useless. The cheapest weapon cost 10 billion. Besides, these are all replicas, that is, for 1 or 2 uses. Then he found the racing suit, and was angry that the system hadn't shown it to him before. However, he won't understand how effective it is until he puts it on. But compared to everything else he bought, this suit was quite expensive. June decided it was a good investment and bought the suit, and he could make the suit back by just taking on more orders. Now there was no turning back. June put on the suit. Surprisingly, it was comfortable. June doesn't feel like he's wearing anything at all, and the suit isn't warm. Then he thought, maybe this is a regular suit. Maybe it's worth trying it out. Dean kept looking for Jun and complaining about where this guy was. He had already reached Seoul. Even the number of his moped did not help him find out where the guy lived, because he had never been a violator. Dean started shouting at the top of his lungs, asking how he was going to find this guy now. Suddenly June told him that the green light had turned on. Dean just apologized and walked away. And only when he walked away, he remembered that the stranger had the same model of moped. The damage to the moped was the same as that of the courier. Dean finally realized that this was the one he was looking for. Dean got into a taxi and told the driver to chase the guy on the moped, but the taxi driver said that it was a film for him and threw him out of the car. Then Dean simply ran after June, but of course he quickly ran out of breath. The girl asked if he was Dean from the One Guild. Dean was ashamed, so he said she was mistaken. He was thinking that he shouldn't have chased after him when he heard a crash. Then he got up again and ran towards the mountains, his intuition telling him that the rumble was coming from here. Suddenly, the old people said that it was not worth going there. A loud sound was coming from the top. Dean replied that they didn't have to worry, since he was a hunter from the One Guild. He got up but found no one, only a huge boulder with a hole in it. It's a pretty big boulder, but breaking it into pieces wouldn't be that hard. Rank B hunters could easily handle this, but not everyone can penetrate with such amazing accuracy. It must have been some kind of magic or divine power. Dean decided to catch that guy at any cost. A satisfied Jun ate and was glad that he was able to make such a hole. He even managed to get settled, even if only for a couple of minutes. He knew that this suit increased physical abilities. But he never thought that it would be to such an extent that now he can calmly enter any dungeon. Then he received a new order. The notification sound was unusual. This time the address is not Olympus, apparently. We need to go to the dungeon again. Then June decided to check this address at the boarding school and quickly found it. Since there is no need to rush the delivery, he will accept it tomorrow when the suit's effect is refreshed. Jun was being watched by that same hunter from the One Guild, Irene. Sam asked, so he noticed him again near the station. Dean replied that he was sure they could catch him. Dozens of their hunters were looking for him right now. Sam said Dean is the only one who knows what he looks like. Dean replied that there was no need to worry about that since he had drawn the poster. Then Sam got worried. Sam asked if Dean was sure he was stronger than him. Dean asked if Sam had seen a photo of the boulder. He is sure that this is his doing. He does not know of any hunters strong enough to do this. Sam replied, then we need to hurry before the Black Dragon Guild identifies them. While the One Guild had established itself as the best in the country, the second guild was not far behind either. The Black Dragon Guild has grown significantly over the past 3 years. They seek to establish control over the dungeons and engage in bribery to conceal their illegal activities. Sam said that they can't let the Black Dragon Guild take the top position. They've been acting rather suspiciously lately. We need to find out what they're up to. Jun headed towards the mountain, but there were already a lot of people there. It's strange, I think they wrote at the boarding school that the dungeon is not very popular. Suddenly the man shouted and Jun thought he saw him, but it turned out he was talking to another guy. False alarm, and then Jun continued driving to the dungeon. He had heard rumors of their guild taking over dungeons, but he never thought he would see it with his own eyes. It's strange that even the Hunters Association is not doing anything. The destination was ahead. Jun was already approaching the location, but it surprised him. Because he approached the mountain, he wondered if he would really have to climb up. What if the mountain turns into a monster, like last time, and runs after him? But now he had a suit. The guy hoped it would help him deal with the monsters. He took off his helmet when suddenly he was called. Jun did not see anyone. Then they shouted at him to look down. Jun got scared and shouted that it was a talking monkey head. The monkey told him not to be afraid. Jun asked if he was the one who ordered the delivery. Then the monkey replied that the boy in the hat said that Jun could fulfill his request. Jun thought, what kind of guy is this in a hat? So it means he is to blame for this mess. The monkey said he needed Jun to get something for him. Jun agreed. The monkey said that Jun could call him Handsome King or Magnificent Sage. But Jun got confused and the monkey said that he could call him Son. Jun asked why he was there. The monkey replied that it was the old geezer's punishment from the Jade Emperor for eating a couple of peaches. I wanted to check if they were ripe, but he buried it for those peaches. Jun asked what he needed to bring. The monkey replied, he should go forward and come across a big pile of junk. There will be a box. That's what he needs. The box was about 6 miles away, not that far. Jun said he'd be back soon. Meanwhile, deep in the dungeon sat a strange robot, and hunters stood nearby. The leader of the Black Dragon Guild, Jill, told them not to be afraid. There is always a way out. The one guild may have outshone them by clearing the abyss, but if they could defeat this boss, they would be ahead of them. And they will take the place of the best guild, thought Jill, and ordered to attack the boss. The hunters were afraid. Suddenly the robot rose to its feet and growled loudly. Then the hunters became even more frightened and asked how they could defeat him. The men in the jacket ordered them to stop grumbling and stand in their places. Anyone who ran away would be killed. The hunters complained about the poor quality of their weapons, and one man came out and ordered them to take their places. The man asked Jill if she really thought they could make it work. Jill replied, who knows? And Jun was driving through the forest when he heard this noise. Even the monsters ran away. Then he decided to check what was there. The magician asked if she could protect them. He didn't come here to fight at all. The girl replied that if they got out of here alive, the guild's reputation would skyrocket. Then the man hit the guy, and Jill said, they came to help her clean up. It's not that hard. And the other hunters continued to fight with the strong boss of the dungeon. When they knocked him down, they began to rejoice that they had survived. But then the robot rose again and even transformed, and the second round began. Suddenly to the dungeon, he said at this rate it would be possible to travel around the entire province. The man appeared at the entrance and Dean asked where he came from. The man told him to watch his language. But upon recognizing Dean, he himself fell silent. Dean realized that this was another rat of the Black Dragon and passed by. He wondered if they had bribed the people from the association to control the entrance to this gate. So, they want to kill the boss of this dungeon. Dean decided that he should warn them about the danger. The 9th robot becomes truly enraged when it enters its second phase. Jun was scared when he saw the robot. Even with this suit, he couldn't handle it, he thought. Suddenly, he saw Jill and recognized her. Even Jun knew she was dangerous. The magician asked to let him go. He promised that he would fight with everyone. But the man jumped on the robot and let the guy go. The magician screamed that he would burn, but the man only laughed. Then Jun couldn't stand it and quickly ran there and hit that scoundrel. Then he grabbed the guy and asked him if the guy was okay. The guy thanked him and advised him to run away as quickly as possible. Jun realized he was trapped. He could just grab the box and run. He let the guy go and said that he couldn't just stand there and watch himself get killed. Jun thought, it's not that guy's fault that they tried to kill him. It's those who tried to do it to him who are to blame. Since things were going downhill, Jun thought he had no choice but to fight. Jill was furious because they were close to winning. The bald man asked what orders he had should he gather the archers. Jill replied, no. First of all, you need to collect firewood, the key to defeating the 9th robot at the moment of transition. He would be paralyzed for a short time like this. All they could do was throw the victim into his fiery core. Suddenly the man told Jill to look ahead. Jun flew up and then, noticing a strange dent, decided to hit it there. But this was a bad idea, as it would only awaken the robot's next phase. She shouted to the archers to stop him immediately, and they all started shooting at him. Jun didn't understand why they wanted to kill him and avoided them as best he could. He wondered why they were so stubborn. They fired so many arrows that it was as if this golem had hair. Suddenly this robot went crazy and caught fire. Jill said that they were finished. The second phase ended. The robot raised its leg and stepped on all the hunters. The entire army disappeared in an instant. The man asked Jill what they should do, but Jill remained silent. The girl thought that they could no longer do anything. They would all be turned to ashes. But Jun was still alive and didn't stop attacking that monster. And so Jun managed to kill the dungeon boss alone, and Dean saw it. He thought it was a simple courier. Dean felt a disposition due to the fact that they had a similar fighting style. He never thought that he would meet this courier here. He decided to bring him to the guild today. Jill said she never thought that this loser could defeat the dungeon boss. The man asked what they should do. Jill replied that as soon as the dust settled, he should find it. He clearly put a lot of effort into defeating this monster. The guy will answer for interfering with the raid of the Black Dragon Guild. Then Dean came running and said that they were luring a newbie into their guild to sacrifice him. Jill told the people to prepare for battle. It was their enemy from the one guild. Dean thought he had appeared in front of them with such pomp, but there were many more of them than he thought. Suddenly the guy ran up to Jill and said they had a problem. The man in the helmet had disappeared. June rode back and thought that he had already decided that this would be his last adventure. He almost woke up on Olympus, but not because he successfully made the delivery. Although if he had died, he would have ended up in another place. Why did he have to interfere and help a stranger? He's not even a hunter. While he was thinking that he would not do this anymore, suddenly a mountain opened up before him. He asked if the dungeon had disappeared because he had killed the boss. The gates, which no one had cleared for a long time, materialized in the dense world in the form of dungeons, and it was possible to enter there again and again. But passes were given only to carefully checked hunters. But this time, it wasn't even a hunter who cleared the dungeons, and even less an ordinary courier. Then June thought about why he had just risked his life. The monkey said that June came back quickly. June replied that if he only knew what he had to go through. Then the monkey asked him to calm down. June shouted. He said that what he was looking for was just a pile of scrap metal. But the pile of scrap metal turned out to be a huge robot golem, and it also had a laser beam. The monkey asked. June is sure that he did not provoke him. The robot is not inclined to move. Jun thought that if those people from the Black Dragon Guild hadn't shown up there, he wouldn't have had to go through this horror. The Black Dragon villains made Jun so angry that he wanted to hit each and every one of them. The monkey said, it seems the boy couldn't get his box, but June replied that he got it. The monkey asked how. June replied that he broke his head. Jun asked what was in it. It looked like a regular box that was often used. Suddenly the monkey began to laugh madly and say, in the sky he almost killed this monster. But now an ordinary mortal finished him off single-handedly. He asked the guy's name, June said his name, then the monkey shot at the box. And she got out of the mountain, a large smoke of dust rose up, and June noticed that a staff came out of the box. The monkey said that now he was in debt to Jun. Who knows how many more years he would have been stuck in the mountain. Then he sat on a cloud and hurried away before the emperor found him. Jun shouted at him to stop for a minute. He didn't care that he was leaving, but the Monkey King didn't pay him. Suddenly a bag flew at Jun, and the Monkey King said that he had already paid him. And in this bag there was a small reward for his efforts, and then the king said goodbye. At home, Jun was watching the news, and they were talking about the Black Dragon's tactics during the attack on the boss. Jun, who witnessed this himself, scolded them, calling them bastards. The guy appeared on the screen. Here are a few words from the rookie hunter who was present at the scene. They were all deceived. No one warned them that they would have to fight the boss. There was a man wearing a helmet, and he saved him just as he was about to be thrown into the fiery pit. Jun himself thought he was finished when he suddenly started moving forward. Fortunately, he kept his identity a secret and saved people. Although what was more important to this guy was his salary. He earned 70,000 from this delivery, and it felt like after the fight with the monster, he deserved more. But if you translate all this into real money, it comes to a whole 700 million won. He also received a special reward, the locks of a stone monkey. If you blow on them, you can summon a clone of the Monkey King for a moment. Jun was happy with this gift. Lately, he often walks on a knife edge. He goes into the depths of the dungeons and faces all the monsters. Even though it was just a clone of the Monkey King, Jun thought it wouldn't be out of place. Suddenly, he received a notification about a new delivery request. Then the guy quickly got dressed and decided to work hard for the awards today too. Sam ran into Dean's room, and upon entering, he immediately asked if he was okay, and Dean asked if Sam wasn't supposed to be in Busan. He replied that he couldn't stay there for that long, especially considering the fact that Dean was there because of him. Dean replied that it wasn't his fault. He should have assessed the situation himself beforehand. But Sam was still angry at the Black Dragon. They really tried to pull a hunter from the one guild for themselves. He shouldn't have underestimated their abilities. He should have sent Irene with him. He decided that next time he would deal with this guild himself. Sam asked how Dean was. Dean replied, the doctor said the situation wasn't very good. Sam was already scared when Dean replied that he was just joking. He was told the fracture wasn't that bad. Did Sam really think he would retire because of a couple of injuries? Sam asked if the scooter courier had dealt with the boss. Dean replied that he had seen it himself. He didn't even use weapons, just fistfights. Dean was proud that they were similar. Then Dean asked if they had found the guy. Sam replied that they had searched the entire area but hadn't found him anywhere. They tracked him on camera as he entered the alley, and then he seemed to disappear. And June at this time returned to Olympus. He went to Hephaestus and said hello. But Hephaestus didn't hear him, so June decided to wait until he finished. The sudden heat made him feel sleepy, as if he were back in his mother's arms. When suddenly Hephaestus asked him what he was doing there. June got scared and asked why Hephaestus became his mother. Hephaestus just laughed. Then he said that today's delivery would take quite a long time. Jun immediately thought that they usually charge extra for this type of delivery. And he replied that he was ready to travel around the entire globe for a decent sum. Hephaestus gave him the staff and said that he had just used the heavenly steel that he had asked for. "It needs to be done today," Jun asked where he should deliver it. Hephaestus replied, "To the pyramid, such a Jun, of course, did not expect." He asked if it wouldn't be easier to send it by parcel, and in general, how the pyramids relate to Greek mythology. Hephaestus replied that his services are sought after not only on Olympus. Jun accepted the order and was already thinking of buying tickets to Egypt, but then Hephaestus stopped him. The customer he delivers to is picky, so he hired an assistant, Juna. The girl said that she was here on Cupid's orders. Her name was Lucy. She came to serve Hephaestus. Jun worried in vain. The pyramid is located within Olympus, so there is no need to fly to Egypt. He thought the delivery would be easy, but Lucy kept screaming. Lucy screamed that she had been deceived. She was supposed to be helping Hephaestus, not riding with the little man. Jun wondered why Hephaestus had assigned this annoying child to him in the first place. An hour ago, Jun was silently looking at Lucy. Hephaestus asked if he thought she would be of no use to him. Lucy told him to have some manners and not to look down on Lucy. Hephaestus said it wasn't that he didn't trust him, but he couldn't deny that he didn't know much about mythology. But Lucy is very knowledgeable about everything. She will help him a lot. Lucy complained that she was bored and why she had to do all this to help a person. Jun said if she didn't want him to leave her with the delivery, she should sit quietly. "And Hephaestus will say that she has fulfilled her task?" Lucy asked. "Is he trying to tarnish Lucy's honor?" When Lucy was in high school, she skipped 2 grades. She then continued her studies at the most prestigious university. Lucy became an elite nymph, so that a person did not dare to tell her what to do, when suddenly Jun threw her a candy. And he will give more if she sits quietly and doesn't stick her head out. Lucy really liked the candy. She said she hoped he wasn't lying when he said he would give her more. And Jun replied that he kept his word. He knew that the way to a child's heart is through the stomach. And now he can finally concentrate on the road. They arrived and Lucy said that as she promised, she was silent, so he should give her candy. Jun asked why she didn't warn him about the danger ahead. Lucy replied that he himself told her to keep quiet. Suddenly, the Sphinx told the uninvited guest that if he wanted to pass, he had to solve his riddle. Lucy screamed, "This terrible monster asks a riddle to everyone, and devours whole those who answer incorrectly." The Sphinx is a relative of Typhon, the beast that once slew Zeus and nearly destroyed Olympus. Of course, the Sphinx is not as strong as its relative, but still. And Jun isn't a legendary hero, so you shouldn't go against him with just a nymph. It feels like he is going to his death. His intuition tells him that blows are useless against him. But Jun doesn't have time to think either, so he came up with something. Lucy asked where he was going. Jun replied that he was going to solve his riddle. Then Lucy said he would swallow it. If Jun made a mistake, he would die in the churning stomach. Jun replied that he would not die. The guy was not that stupid. Everyone knew his riddle. She's so popular that it's impossible to be wrong. But Jun is unlikely to solve any other riddles. In case something goes wrong, he has a lock of the Monkey King's hair with him. The Sphinx asked if he was ready to solve the riddle. Jun replied that he did not have much time, so hurry up. Lucy burst into tears and decided that she needed to solve the riddle. The Sphinx began to ask a riddle, and Jun thought that he would ask one about a man. Jun was sure that he would ask this very riddle and was thinking about how to quickly answer it. But then the Sphinx asked a completely different riddle. What sound does a duck make when it falls? Jun's reaction was indescribable. The boy only wanted to say human when he heard this stupid riddle. Lucy was crying because she wasn't sure of the answer, and someone was watching them. Jun thought what kind of riddles this was. It looked like a stupid joke. The answer was so obvious. Although no, it was the Sphinx, Jun thought. This question could have an unexpected catch. However, Jun seemed to have overestimated this Sphinx, who, embarrassed, gave him 3 minutes to figure it out. Lucy screamed that even Lucy, the mega elite, had no idea what the answer was. Now this Sphinx will eat Lucy, all because of this stupid man. She remembered asking the professor if the riddles of the Sphinx were really difficult. He answered before Oedipus could solve the riddle of the Sphinx, which had already swallowed several hundred people. Lucy asked, so the professor couldn't guess his riddle. The professor replied that even the dean couldn't. If she met the Sphinx, let her run away. Lucy was crying because she thought they wouldn't solve the riddle. When suddenly Jun gave the answer, "Quacko." She started screaming at him how he could have wasted their only chance so ineptly. But suddenly the Sphinx began to laugh and replied that the answer was correct. Lucy got angry and asked how this answer could be correct. What nonsense. The Sphinx said that he praised the alien for solving the riddle. Jun also got angry and told him to shut up and move away and let him come up with something smarter. This is kindergarten. He asked the Sphinx why she was crying, and the Sphinx replied that she just had sand in her eyes. The quest with the Sphinx has been successfully completed. The Sphinx is named Behemoth. It must be tamed like a cat. Jun told Lucy to hold on tight because he was getting faster now. When they were almost there, Lucy decided to say goodbye for her words. She was supposed to help him along the way, but all she did was condemn him for being human. And she doesn't deserve to be called mega elite. Jun replied that she has nothing to reproach herself for. At his job as a courier, he sometimes heard such things that her words did not affect him at all. Jun feels like it's vacation and he's babysitting his sister. They came to the pyramid and Jun said that he did not expect the pyramid to be so big. Lucy pointed to the box and said that it said, "If there is no guard, ring the bell." Jun pressed the button. Suddenly everything lit up and the earth began to disappear. Lucy said it was gravity magic. Then they both fell into the cave. June was surprised that he survived such a fall. It turned out that he fell on poor Lucy. Then they wandered around the cave. June felt like he was on some kind of quest in the dungeon. Lucy asked June to direct the shining piece of metal here. There were frescoes there. Lucy said she had heard of some evil goddess who liked to kidnap nymphs and torture them. These frescoes must have been created by her ancestors to tell of the terrible crimes committed against her people. June didn't see any crimes in these pictures. In fact, it looked more like a holiday. Lucy said that you meet your enemy when you least expect it. She will avenge the suffering of her ancestors. June said that there is no revenge today. There is a client here. Suddenly, the girl said, for the sake of revenge, they crept into the goddess's house, little rude people. The light is so blinding that June can't even see who's in front of them. Lucy flew towards the girl, screaming that her ancestors would be avenged. June wondered why this child was so impulsive. Why did he attack right away? The girl said how long it had been since she had seen someone like Lucy, and hugged her tightly. Lucy screamed to be let go. The girl said that a long time ago she invited nymphs here and arranged holidays for them. Unfortunately, they are no longer there. June asked if they had died of suffocation in her arms. The girl said that she can't stop herself. She always behaves like this when she sees something cute. Lucy said she almost killed her and June just stood by. They started arguing. Lucy screamed that he told her. She was like a sister to him. Why didn't he protect his sister? Then the girl introduced herself. She is the ruler of the two richest and sunniest countries. The priestess of all the temples of Egypt. The divine embodiment of the mountain. The all-powerful falcon. Her name is Pharaoh. June said he thought pharaohs were the kings of Egypt. Lucy called him ignorant. There are two types of gods and goddesses in this world. There are those like Cupid and Hephaestus. They were born as gods. And there are those who have achieved divinity during their lifetime. June said they had brought a delivery. Pharaoh replied that she had been following them the whole way. She took her staff and said that the work was excellent and the shape perfect. The courier lives up to his reputation, and June didn't even know he had a reputation. And this means you can ask for more money, he said so directly. Lucy said he was disgusting. Did he really have to act like a greedy merchant? June replied that he would use the money to buy the candies that she liked so much. Then Lucy also joined him and asked for money. Pharaoh said it was nice to see him making friends with this small people. She paid him for his work, a total of 19 billion won. Lucy said that she helped him, so he should give her some candy. June replied that he bought the entire candy store for her and might even open a confectionery factory. Pharaoh said that since they were leaving, they could exit through the main entrance, not through this tunnel. It's over. It's nostalgic for her to come down here, but she's already kind of tired of receiving couriers in the basement. June asked if this was the main entrance. Pharaoh replied that it was the spare one. The delivery to the pyramid completed, June returned to Hephaestus, terribly tired. He woke Lucy up and said that they had already arrived. Lucy couldn't even open her eyes. June told her that they had come to the forge of Hephaestus. Then Lucy thanked him for the adventure. Once they have completed the delivery, it is time to say goodbye. June replied that he had fun with her too, even though she chatted a lot. Then they started arguing again, both laughing. Lucy joked that she would never work with him again. Hephaestus said, his stars, the client has nothing but enthusiastic words about them. If so, maybe they will work in pairs, and at that moment they started arguing again. Later, Lucy woke up June and he shouted at her what she was doing there. Then he remembered that he couldn't refuse Hephaestus, and he had to unite with this child. June asked why she woke him up. Lucy replied that the noise there just wouldn't stop. It was a delivery, but these were regular orders. A week passed, and he was back to work. Lucy asked if everything was okay. June replied that nothing special. But Lucy was capricious and wanted to know what was the matter. June decided he had to say he was quitting, so he picked up the phone. His boss immediately started yelling at Jun, asking why the hell he wasn't taking orders. Jun should have been grateful that he wasn't fired. He was lucky that he was just suspended. Then June got really angry and shouted that he was quitting. The man said he would blacklist him and June would not be able to find a job. He is tired of these angry threats. It is not surprising that even the hair is running off his bald head. Then June invited Lucy to go out to eat. He finally quit. Sam asked his subordinate. Yesterday he also couldn't be found. Captain Steve replied. They searched every corner. None of them could notice either the scooter or the helmet. If his scooter is so hard to track, maybe he realized he was being followed and changed his number. Steve asked if they should continue searching. Sam replied that they couldn't waste their energy like that. Things are not going well in Busan either. A detachment of 6 A ranks sent on a raid has retreated. A month ago, a portal appeared on the beach. When the association contacted them, he immediately realized that clearing this dungeon would not be easy. But he didn't think that 6 A ranks would be enough, but he knows what to do. Sam told the guy to tell Irene and the first squad to start preparing to leave. He will once again show everyone why they are considered the best guild in the country. June ate with Lucy, wanting to see the manager's face when he said he was quitting. Lucy ate noodles quickly. June asked her to eat more slowly, otherwise she would stain all her clothes. She admired the food and Jun said it was just a bowl of noodles. After they ate, they went out. People started saying that he was a bad father. June thought that it seemed like he really had a daughter. People started talking about how you can live in a tiny apartment with a child. He decided that since they would now have to live together, it would be worth looking for a bigger apartment. June asked if they could move in. Lucy was happy, and June asked why she was so upset. Lucy said she wanted to move into the palace and pointed to the building. June asked if she at least knew how much it cost. Lucy asked if he had money. Then June decided that it was worth buying an apartment. They came to that building. The building is new, so it looks gorgeous. Lucy has already fallen in love with this apartment. The woman said the current owner would be able to move out in 2 weeks, and the rent was about $200,000 a month. June thanked the man and said that he would like to look at other apartments. Buying the first place he came across wasn't very smart, so he called Lucy and said it was time for them to go. Lucy was unhappy. June said that he had not yet decided to buy this apartment. On the way out, they met Irene. Later, Lucy was eating and June couldn't stop rejoicing that he had bought a house on the very first day of searching. After a whole day of searching for an apartment, he finally settled on the building he saw first. He bought the apartment at a price well below market value, but something still worries him. June remembered how they ran into that girl and thought he had seen her somewhere. Then June remembered that he had seen her among the hunters in the dungeon. The helmet covered half of his face, so she probably didn't know him. June asked why he wasn't getting any new orders. Lucy asked if they hadn't finished yet. Then the guy replied that there was nothing new in 2 days. Lucy said, 2 days is not so much. June complained that before he would receive at least 1 order a day. Lucy replied, excessive greed never leads to anything good. He has enough money. June replied, it was, until yesterday. That's how much was left after paying for the apartment. But together with the remaining amount, the total comes to 17 billion just for the apartment. On top of that, he needs to buy new furniture, appliances, and pay a realtor. All the money went to housing, a mistake by the new tenant, overestimation of her finances. Lucy asked why housing was so expensive. Jun asked, how could he know? Things have always been expensive in Seoul. Nothing can be done about it. Then June joked that he wouldn't be able to buy her candy, and Lucy began to seriously think about how to get money. Lucy asked why he shouldn't become a promoter. They didn't have to wait for a new job to come along. You can go to Hephaestus and ask if he knows of any heroes who might need delivery. Jun was delighted and hugged her and praised her. Maybe she was even a genius. Then he asked how they could get to Olympus. He teleported there when he was given an order. The Vaughn Guild had gathered on the roof, 45 hunters in total, and were waiting for Sam. And then Sam came and said that today they would go to the beach in order to deal with the new portal. He wants them to forget their previous failures and bring glory to the guild once again. In the helicopter, Sam asked Irene if she was sure that guy was now her neighbor. Irene replied that she could not find out for sure whether he had moved in, but he had clearly visited the apartment. Sam's team searched every corner to find him, and he ended up right under Irene's nose. Now it won't be difficult to find it. You just need to focus on the portal. Irene thought that it was he who had defeated the boss. She hoped that she would be able to catch him in battle one day. June came to Hephaestus and called him, and then Lucy remembered that one cannot come without an invitation. She said that they had better leave. If they disturbed the mythical ones, they would be punished. June said they were already there. Lucy said it was terribly disrespectful. Then June remembered how she called Pharaoh an old woman. Suddenly, Hephaestus came and said that he didn't order the delivery, which is what brought them here. Jun said, here's the thing. He has a favor to ask of him. They thought it would be rude to come empty-handed. So he brought him some soju. June remembered that he liked beer, so he brought that to try too. Hephaestus accepted the gift and asked what June wanted. June replied that he wanted to ask if he could introduce him to the gods. Those interested in delivery, Hephaestus said he has someone in mind, but it will probably be dangerous. Jun said confidently that he promised to brag at every opportunity. There is nothing more dangerous than poverty, so Hephaestus teleported him. Jun complained that he was raised without giving any explanation. Suddenly, a danger notification came. A huge monster appeared in front of Jun, but suddenly someone shot at this monster. Thus, June remained alive. Lucy ran to him and said that he was almost turned into a pancake. What a sight! Olympus boars are known for their ferocity, and Jun killed him with one blow. June said he didn't kill him. Then the centaur appeared and said he didn't know there were people and nymphs here. A notification arrived about arriving at the destination, which means Hephaestus sent him to him. Lucy said she thought she knew him. Achilles the war hero, Jason the leader of the Argonauts, and the greatest warrior Hercules. And this is Chiron, the mentor of all these great heroes. Chiron got angry when he heard the name of Hercules. He asked if they knew what he had gone through because of that idiot. June reported that Hephaestus had sent them, and they had come with a delivery. Already at Chiron's house, he thought that Hephaestus, as a rule, does not mention him in the presence of just anyone. No matter how you look at it, he is by no means a hero, and Nymph is with him. Even the most famous heroes can hardly boast of friendship with nymphs, much less having them as their companions on their travels. June asked why the goat man was so suspicious. Lucy said that it seemed like he had a vulnerable soul. Chiron decided to trust them, and asked if they could deliver whatever he wanted. He decided to test Jun. He told him to go to the cave. There he would find a giant cave, and let him collect the saliva of the lazy oaf who sleeps in it. June thought he wanted him to collect some saliva in a jar and bring it to him. He said he hoped they didn't have to literally collect saliva from their mouths. Chiron replied, no, exactly directly. He has objections. June took the order and ran into the forest. Kiran laughed and said, "This idiot didn't even ask what dangers awaited him. It's a simple test that will show whether he can be trusted if he comes out of the forest alive. He will have to cross rocky, snow-capped mountains that no human can pass through. If he is a talker, one look at these mountains will make him give up." But then June used the suit and flew up, which amazed Kiran. June was already quite used to this suit. At this speed, they would soon reach the cave. Destination reached. Suit reboot time 32 seconds. Lucy said she felt dizzy. June asked her to pull herself together. They have already descended deep into the cave, but he does not see anyone sleeping here. Lucy suddenly screamed, and June said that she was confusing him. It was just a couple of drops from the ceiling. He thought she saw a monster in horror. A bunch of huge snakes appeared in front of him. Jun seemed to have gone crazy, and said that it looked like he wouldn't have to worry about the lack of saliva. Kiran came for June and complained about where the bastard had gone. He is just a man. Even with his abilities, he cannot climb the mountain. But seeing the dent, Kiran became angry and asked if he had really entered the cave. June was not allowed to enter the cave because there were immortal monsters there. June and Lucy hid, and it seems that this monster is sleeping now, so he did not notice them. Lucy said it was a hydra. What did Kiran entrust to him? June answered. How was he supposed to know that? With Hades' helmet, he could still do something, but he had to go without it. Then a notification appeared, offering Juna to use the VAR service. For 50 million won just for carrying the goods, he bought the helmet for 800 coins. He had no choice now, and he moved his helmet for a fortune. Lucy said he couldn't go there, June replied, and he knew it himself. Then Lucy said that even the gods of Olympus were afraid of her deadly poison. She tried to stop him, saying that this time everything was different from that sphinx. But June told her to wait at the exit. Lucy got angry and flew away. June started making the delivery. He complained that the snake could sleep normally, but it just stared. It's better not to touch it, otherwise something terrible will happen. And why did Kiran need saliva? He collected enough and said just try to give him a small tip for the delivery. Suddenly an earthquake started and June broke the jar, and what's worse, he touched the snake's eye. So the snakes woke up. But he's wearing a helmet. He just has to hide the fact that he's here. But then someone asked who he was. The smell of ghosts of hell with flayed skin. The voice said that Jun should not be afraid. This wonderful helmet that hides him belongs to Hades. Why did he come here and so far and swim across the river Styx? Jun thought that if he told her the truth, she would kill him immediately. Suddenly the snakes started arguing with each other. One of them said that maybe Hades sent him. The voice asked why he was silent, and it was not because of some nonsense that he woke her up. June took off his helmet and said to send greetings from the abyss. Apparently he said the first thing that came to mind. The voice asked, so it was Kiran who sent it. June became even more scared, and said that apparently he had not been able to contact her. That's why he asked me to say hello, the girl said. This little guy is interested in how his older sister is doing. She has lived for so many millennia, and for the first time she sees something like this. She asked how he is doing. At this time, Lucy was crying and scolding June for not listening to her. She was looking for help and ran into Kiran. He asked why she was the only one there. Lucy said that June went to the Hydra, Kiran said discontentedly. So he finally got to the Hydra. Then Lucy said that they needed to help him quickly. Kiran replied that even he couldn't cope with Hydra, but he still decided to help Jun. He couldn't allow the kid to die because of him. Hydra said, it seems like the guy was surprised by her appearance. After she was sealed here, she can't return to her appearance. Even her brother had never seen her like this, so he didn't know who June was thinking she was talking about. How is her little brother doing? She couldn't contact him, so she was worried. June said that Cerberus eats 3 times a day and gets paid. He is very happy with his profession, and since he had already said hello, it was time for him to go. Jun thought that if he stayed, he might be caught in a lie. But then Hydra stopped him and said that since he came at his brother's request, she couldn't let him go just like that. The girl turned around and told Jun that he could take his gift. There is a scale in the middle of his back that shines. He can pull it out and take it for himself. Her scales contain a dangerous power that will definitely come in handy for him. June decided that he had no reason to refuse, and June began to tear off the scales. He couldn't get the scales off, so he used the suit and finally got them out. Hydra praised him, then asked if he was too greedy. She didn't think he had his eye on her. June quickly stood up and apologized for the misunderstanding, just as Kiran arrived. Kiran thought that June was able to defeat the Hydra itself. In his mind, June was a hero. Lucy flew to him and said how good it was that he was alive. June repeated that it was dangerous here and she should wait for him outside. Kiran wondered if a man could really defeat the Hydra. Even Hercules had a hard time dealing with it. June apologized to Hydra for the noise they made. She replied that everything was fine and asked if this was his nymph. The guy replied that she was just a neighbor or sister, Hydra said. How unusual. Then she greeted Kiran. She said that he had grown old, and that time really did not spare even the immortals. Or maybe it was her poison that had affected him. Jun asked what had happened between them. Lucy said it was the famous story of Hercules, the Hydra's poisoned arrow, and the death of Chiron. It was an accident. No, it was retribution for Chiron raising a monster. Zeus asked, Chiron asks to take away from him the immortality that he gave him. Chiron replied that he could no longer bear this torment, and Zeus agreed. Considering that he raised so many heroes, he will give him a constellation. He cannot die. Thus ended his life as a sage, and he became a deity who ruled the constellation Sagittarius. Hydra said that the poison kills anyone. Chiron is probably holding on thanks to the constellation. Chiron said she still has the same nasty snake tongue. Maybe he should cut it off. Hydra said that he had a nasty tongue, but before he was such a gentle man. June looked at Hydra, and Lucy covered his eyes so he wouldn't stare. Hydra said, but June needed her saliva at Chiron's request. June asked if she knew everything from the beginning. Hydra replied that he smelled like Chiron. Hydra said Chiron could take it. Chiron asked what she was up to. Hydra said that she wasn't the one who poisoned him. And Hercules, she was waiting all this time for Chiron to come for the antidote. Chiron opened the bottle and drank it all. Suddenly he became paralyzed and Chiron burst into tears. His legs returned to their previous state. For so many years, Chiron endured pain in the world of constellations. Finally, he can put an end to this torment, Hydra said. He had to endure a lot. At Chiron's house, June asked him why he still hadn't come out. He wouldn't keep the delivery fee. Lucy asked how he could think that about Chiron, since he was a hero. Chiron finally came in and apologized for being late. He said he was looking for something and that's why he was late. He said that he wanted to give the bow to Hercules, but it would suit June better. June would like to choose the money. Suddenly, Chiron's house was broken into, and the man apologized for coming so suddenly. The guy said that he would tell the details later. It was the god of war Ares. Ares is the son of Zeus and Hera. That is, a prince among the gods, he asked. This is June. Suddenly, he fell on his knees and said that he had finally found him. Ares asked June to help him. June was the first among people to whom a god knelt. Later, Lucy and June were on the train. Lucy was saying that the car was so fast, June told her to be quieter. And this is not a car, but a train, and you can't shout here. Lucy said that she would definitely follow the rules. June couldn't sleep a wink, and now there was another delivery. With this lifestyle, he would die before old age. Suddenly, June received 100,000 coins from Chiron and screamed with joy, for which he was reprimanded. Lucy said that he himself told him to behave more quietly. He was paid 20 billion won at a time for delivering to Chiron, so he doesn't have to worry about going bankrupt. He would have been calmer if it weren't for this. Jun was asked to save a hunter whose patron is Ares. Ares said he looked at his threat of fate and he would die today. June asked why he didn't save him himself. Chiron said that God cannot personally influence the life and death of a person. The one who is called the god of war cannot help but know this, even if he is sad about it. Let him come to terms with it. Ares replied that he couldn't. He had put everything he had on this hunter. Hunter constellation. Constellations can invest points in hunters. Constellations can invest points in hunters, and if they perform feats, they gain fame through public recognition. Thus, the constellation received several hundred times more points than it had originally invested. But it could happen that the hunter did not complete his mission and died. June asked disappointedly, so he lost everything he invested. June thought that this guy had a gambling addiction. Chiron started scolding him, shouting, even though it was a constellation. But he just sat and played like that. And then Ares surprised everyone by saying that he secretly invested his father's points. And his father, as we know, is Zeus. June said wearily. He didn't decide how he, in Ares' opinion, should save the constellation hunter. But if you fulfill the request of a god like Ares and earn his favor, you can certainly get a huge tip. Then Lucy asked June where they were going. June replied that they needed to go to Busan. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, Sam shouted to the guys that the monsters were still arriving, so everyone needed to prepare for battle. They kill and kill, and there is no end to the monsters. Irene also fought bravely, and even so, there were a lot of monsters. Sam asked if Irene was okay. She replied that she killed those who were behind. Then Sam told the team to rest for a bit. Then he asked how much longer it was to get to the hall with the boss. The guy replied that they had already arrived and would see him soon. Anyway, they did well. They got here twice as fast as the Vanguard, the guy said. Sam replied that it was thanks to the guy. He heard that 6 A-rank people from the Vanguard were forced to let go. Apparently the monster was very strong. It is quite large. Its size is approximately 10 meters. If they had fought the monster from the start, they would have been able to clear this gate. The entire squad was exhausted from fighting the small creatures. The guy stood up and said that it was worth continuing. He wanted to finish this quickly and call his mother. The guys came to the gate and Sam said, "In front of them is the boss's hall. Don't be afraid. Tanks will go ahead." But as soon as the team entered the hall, they found no one, so they began to look for the dungeon boss. Suddenly, water started dripping from the ceiling, and Irene looked up and immediately shouted for the boys to run away. But they didn't have time. The monster instantly captured every person. Then Sam asked what was happening. But suddenly the guy's eyes popped out of his head and disgusting tentacles came out of his mouth. He said that he brought them all. The monster opened its eyes, and Sam saw that the monster had filled the entire ceiling. And June and Lucy had already come to the beach. June said that he would quickly save him and go to bed. Lucy asked what June was saying. Why couldn't Lucy go with him? June told her to calm down, and that this gate was even bigger than the gate of Tartarus. He hadn't felt this bad in a long time, but it was probably all because of yesterday, the last time she went with him. They came across a hydra, and then he came up with a plan. He gave her money and said that she could buy her favorite candies with it. But Lucy got angry and shouted, "He can't buy Lucy, because she also wants to enter the gate." June decided to tease her and replied that she could have bought 50 candies with that. And then Lucy started drooling and June thought, after all, everything can be bought and sold. Lucy proved it. June said he would be back soon. If a strange uncle came to her, she should say no thank you. That's how he entered the dungeon. Jun thought that it was too dark in this cave. Suddenly, he stepped on a monster, and raising his flashlight, saw how many monsters there were. He was thinking about how he could get through if the road was blocked. His suit was still on cooldown. He would have to do without it somehow, if only he had a moped. Jun didn't know what to do, and this was just the beginning. Suddenly, he received a notification. He was offered to buy a moped for a very huge price, which he certainly didn't want to do. $1 billion is somehow too expensive for a simple moped. Jun decided to find something else. Suddenly, someone snuck up and asked what Jun was looking at so intently. Jun was so scared that he accidentally pressed the button and bought a super expensive moped. Then he started shouting and scolding Lucy. He asked what she was doing there. Lucy replied that she had already told him that she wanted to go with him. Jun was screaming, that is, she had been following him from the very beginning, and suddenly a moped appeared in front of them. It was a whole motorcycle, not a moped. The monsters appeared and then the guys got on it and rode off. Sam was all alone. He understood that he couldn't cope with this monster. He still had to save the team. The entire ceiling is the boss monster, only it was described completely differently. Moreover, the association never said that there are monsters that can enter a person's body and control it. If this creature could get out, it would be a real disaster no matter what. He had to defeat this monster here. Suddenly, Irene opened her eyes and, taking out a knife, freed herself from the monster's captivity. Sam asked her how she was feeling. Was everything okay? Irene replied that she would be lying if she said that everything was fine. You need to deal with the boss as quickly as possible. Otherwise, everyone who was captured will die. Irene said she would distract the monster and Sam would use his trick. She made her strike and then Sam activated his powers, Ares' special attack. And after this blow, the guy was exhausted. The divine skill of the Punisher of Mars took all his strength. This is the true reason why the One Guild has managed to maintain its leadership until now. Not a single monster has ever survived this attack. But this one managed to survive. Irene ran and asked Sam to get up. But Sam replied that it seemed like this was the end. And suddenly, June rode out of the monster's eye on a motorcycle and shouted that he had a delivery for them. The guys were shocked. They immediately remembered the guy on the moped. They were told that they clearly have no talent for giving names. But it turned out it wasn't June who was speaking, but Lucy, who decided to change her image after June got a motorcycle. This image of Lucy left the boys even more shocked. But Lucy continued to confidently praise herself. Suddenly, that guy with the monster appeared behind her, and Lucy lost consciousness from fear. Jun surprisingly calmly grabbed the guy by the hair and pulled out that monster. He thought it was just a squid. The guy lost consciousness, and Jun looked up and saw that monster. June thought that they seemed to be on time, and asked which one of them was Sam. Running up to him, he asked if Sam was okay. He said that for some reason, Sam seemed familiar to him, and asked if they had met somewhere before. Sam got angry and shouted, "Enough chatter." First he had to defeat the monster because people were in danger. June asked, "Monsters are supposed to be caught by hunters. What can an ordinary delivery man like him do?" Then Irene decided that June was going to sacrifice the boys. But June immediately replied that this was not so. He said he was trying to say that it was Sam, not him, who had to fight the monster. Sam said that his weapon was broken, and at least he had a moped. June replied that he didn't have to worry about the weapon. He has a delivery for him. Suddenly a sword appeared, the great sword of Ares, which only existed in myths, ending the war. June said he had delivered the goods, so now he was leaving. Sam asked who had sent him this sword, and why he was walking so calmly into the dungeon. "And who is he anyway?" Jun said pompously. "If he wants to know his name, let him call him the Deliverer of the Gods." Then he got on his motorcycle and drove away. Sam said that the guy was talking nonsense, but he has no choice but to use this sword, the constellation of Ares, the second awakening. It was an incredible power. Now Sam was ready to fight the monster. He activated Ares' power and killed the monster with one swing of his sword. But after that, he lost all his strength again. The next day, the news reported about the gates in Busan, and that they finally closed the gates. Sam was in the hospital. All day, nothing but news about the gate. If it wasn't for that guy, they wouldn't have been able to close the gate. Dean ran into Sam's room, asking if the leader was really that hurt. But seeing that Sam was okay, he was a little disappointed. He added that Sam did a great job. He saw Sam's new weapon and asked where his old weapon was. Sam replied that it was broken. But it doesn't matter. Instead of it, he now has this sword. It was given to him by a guy on a moped. Anyway, he has a favor to ask of Dean. He found out who that guy on the moped was, and he wants Dean to find out where he lives. Dean asked why he needs the guy's address. Sam asked why they needed to get him into their guild at all costs. June returned to Olympus. Ares met him and asked if June had delivered the sword. June replied, of course, he had delivered it safe and sound. Ares sighed with relief and invited June to come in and choose a prize for himself. June told Lucy that he thought Ares was rude, but he's not. Lucy said that you can't call him rude. Lucy praised Ares, saying that he was a prince. Of course he was polite. But then Ares told Lucy to wait in the hallway. Only June would go with him. June and Ares approached the doors of the treasury. Ares said that each door weighs more than 3 tons. Then June asked how to open them. Ares asked what a stupid question, and just went and opened them. They entered the treasury. Ares said that everything that was here was the treasure of the rightful heir to Olympus. June asked if he could take any item he wanted from there. Ares replied that he couldn't give him just one item. It would be bad for his reputation. Ares started looking for something in the mountain of treasures and found a box. He showed it to June and told him to open it. June asked what was in it. Ares replied that he himself did not know. He did not open it because it was too expensive even for him. What was inside couldn't be anything bad when his father personally handed him the box, saying it was one of his most precious treasures. But when June opened it, he was very disappointed. He asked, Ares must be joking. This is what he calls a treasure, but it's just an ordinary club. Meanwhile, the sea was raging. The crew was in a dangerous situation. While sailing, they encountered sirens. The man asked whether it was worth entrusting his mission to that man. It was the great traveler Jason. At home, Jun finally managed to get a good night's sleep. After the mission in Busan, after meeting with Ares, he returned home late. Lucy asked for candy in her sleep, and Juna laughed that even nymphs talk in their sleep. He said that apparently she was too tired, and, covering her up, said that they would soon move and she would have her own bed. Jun went to the store and noticed a poster, a test for hunters. Before, he didn't really want to become a hunter, but he cannot continue to penetrate the dungeons while hiding his identity. June returned home and told Lucy that he had bought something to eat when he received a text message. An order came from Hephaestus. June asked if he wanted to drink with him again. June arrived at Olympus. Hephaestus said. June arrived quickly today too. Hephaestus said that recently many people began to turn to him. He heard that June helped Chiron and Ares. June asked how he could help. When suddenly a man came, Lucy immediately recognized him. Fast shipping by sea, safe delivery, leading sales of Olympus Shipping Company. Mr. Jason, leader of the Argonauts. Jason said that he was known not only as an Argonaut, but also as an outstanding traveler. The voyage on the ship Argo was attended by the greatest people of ancient Greece. He heard a lot about June. He healed his adoptive father. Jason thanked June. Jun replied that he had done nothing of the sort. Jason replied that the rumors about his modesty were true, and asked if he could get straight to the point. There is a small problem with their service. They cannot carry out cargo transportation due to sirens. Previously, when they had problems with them, he asked Orpheus to sort it out, but now it's impossible. He went on tour. After everything he heard about him, he decided to immediately seek help. Jun asked if he was asking him to deal with the sirens. Jason answered, exactly like that. And then June thought why he was asking an ordinary courier to deal with the monsters. Jason said maybe he could make a decision after he heard about the reward. Seeing the price of the reward, Jun immediately agreed to accept Jason's order. Hephaestus said that sirens live in the sea, and it would not be easy for him to fight them in the water. June was scared, but Hephaestus said it was time for him to show what he was capable of. So they set out to sea, Jason said. Cargo ships are forced to sail only this way. Jun said he would deal with the sirens. Jason said he would give him a boat. But Jun replied that there was no need for that, and jumped up and summoned his motorcycle. June asked if there were monsters on these rocks. Lucy asked if he knew who the sirens were. June said they were mermaids. Lucy said that the sirens would be ordinary mermaids who sing well. Could Odysseus have saved himself from them by simply covering his ears? Sirens are experts in underwater attacks, and some of them can even turn a kraken into a snack. Jun said that they were not coming to them empty-handed and took out his club. The sirens noticed June and Lucy, and one of them said that she would deal with them. She swam towards June and suddenly jumped out of the water with her mouth open. June was foaming at the mouth about how Ares had praised that club and decided to try it on the siren. But when she hit the siren, nothing happened. She only asked what kind of stupid stick it was. June got angry at Ares. He used his helmet and hid behind the rocks. The sirens set off to search, and June asked if they would try to enter their base. There is a siren queen in the sea temple. It would be great if June could get rid of her, Jason said. Lucy asked if they would definitely be able to enter there, since the club turned out to be useless. And it really would be better to take at least a stone with you. It would be more useful, thought June. Then June decided to buy Zeus Lightning to deal with the sirens. The siren complained that they had been without food for 10 days. Could they go hunting? The queen did not allow them to do so. Orpheus, who had recently disrupted their hunt, has left, and such an opportunity may not arise again. If they attack everyone, people will stop going to sea for a while. They'll wait a little longer, and soon there will be sea transport here with a bunch of people. June said she was just talking about such cruel things. Lucy said they wanted to eat the whole team. Then Jun asked Lucy if she remembered the noodles he liked so much. If she helps him, he will buy noodles 100 times tastier than those. Lucy immediately agreed. Then June began to explain Lucy's plan. She said that it seemed like it would be very dangerous for a person. June replied that she would do everything. He put a helmet on her and said that he believed in her. Lucy flew away. The helmet's effect only affects those who are near it. Now the sirens see him, June screamed sharply. If they want to taste him, let them catch up with him. Such impudence angered the queen of the sirens, and she ordered everyone to catch him. June quickly ran out of the temple and shouted at Lucy to throw lightning. Lucy activated Zeus's ball lightning and hit the sirens with it. June was able to get out. Initially the goal was only to kill the queen, but cutting down the weeds will also help the sailors. Lucy said they had done it, June asked. They had gotten rid of the queen, so why hadn't they paid yet? And then the queen jumped out of the rubble, grabbed Lucy, and threatened to kill them. Jun activated his motor suit, power mode, and ran to save Lucy. By hitting the queen, he saved Lucy. The power of the suit was very strong. Lucy said that there was no time to stare at the suit, but the queen was still alive and she jumped out, grabbed Jun, and dived into the water with him. She tried to drown Jun. He thought that he had just recently signed a contract to buy an apartment. He decided that he couldn't die like this, because he had only just begun to live. Jun summoned his club and hit the queen, the club reacting to the power, and the return was 100%. Jun hit her several times and jumped out of the water. So Jun destroyed the last siren in the sea and received his reward. After the task, the guys enjoyed delicious noodles at a snack bar. Jun said that everything was on him today, so she could order something else. What he didn't expect was that with Lucy's help, they would be able to defeat the sirens. But of course, Jun made the greatest contribution to the destruction of the Siren Queen. Even though he almost died, Jun told Lucy to eat as much as she wanted. She deserved it. Lucy had no plans to hold back after all. She helped him earn 500,000 points. If he exchanged them for money, it would be 6,000 billion won. He could even buy the ball lightning again. Of course, he was paid more for destroying the monster than for a regular delivery. She brought them pork in sweet and sour sauce, and Lucy began to devour it. But Jun said to eat the pork with this sauce first, and Lucy said it tasted even better that way. Lucy asked why make it so complicated when the sauce could just be poured on top. But Jun hit Lucy and told her to forget about it. Jun thought it was disgusting. After a hearty dinner, the boys returned home. They couldn't even move. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, and the day before that he worked like a horse. So today he can rest in comfort. But then someone rang the bell and Jun stood up discontentedly, wondering who had come at such a time. Jun thought it might be the landlord, and when Sam opened the door he asked, "This is Jun's apartment, isn't it?" Then Jun decided that it was a merchant, and slammed the door, and said that he would not buy anything. But Sam shouted that he came here because he knew everything about him, because he was the deliverer of the gods. Jun opened the door and asked who he was, and Sam had already taken out his sword, and said that he was about to break down the door. Then Jun remembered Sam and asked what he was doing here. Sam asked what he thought, after everything that happened. He came to invite him to the One Guild before they got to the main thing. Here's the reward for helping. Jun opened an envelope for 500 million, and Jun said, well, how could he not help? People should help each other. Sam said he was glad Jun liked the award and invited him to join again. For signing the contract, he will receive 20 billion won immediately, plus 30 billion in annual payment. There are also bonuses for effective work, Sam thought. There is not and will not be a guild in the industry with better conditions than theirs. When he was discharged from the hospital, Dean said that the guy didn't even have a hunting license or experience, because he was able to go so deep into the Tartarus dungeon and kill the monster. At the same time, he does not know whether he entered or exited the gate, but if Jun joins them, in the future they will earn even more money with his help than he offers him now. But then Jun asked what if he refused. Sam was shocked. Jun added that he did not want to sign the contract. Sam asked him not to refuse, and to think it over again. If he was not satisfied with the conditions, he could reconsider them. Jun said that this was his final decision, and he still had things to do. They were on the mountain, and they had to climb it. Jun was cursing at who ordered the delivery to the top of the mountain. Usually he appeared right in front of the customer. So why was he teleported to the foot of such a high mountain today? Lucy asked. Jun always answers any order. Jun said this time he just wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. Sam from Wan didn't expect that he would personally come to him, and also offer to join the guild. Of course, it was a very tempting offer, but people would immediately understand that he was not a hunter endowed with divine powers. What use is this guild to him if he gets billions for every delivery? Finally, they reached their destination. Jun continued to swear at the customer. Suddenly, rising, they saw a bunch of monsters. Lucy asked what kind of creatures they were. Jun replied that he himself did not know. It was strange, but this thing had a very familiar texture, thought Jun. He remembered that there were such monsters in the dungeon. Jun asked if these creatures also come from Greek myths. Lucy replied that she had never heard of such monsters. Suddenly, the earth shook, and the monster that Jun had seen earlier appeared. But then a man came running and killed the monster with one blow, although he was not happy with this. A huge man approached Jun and said that he had heard about him from rumors. Jun asked if Lucy knew who he was. Lucy answered, how could she not know him? He who had completed all 12 tasks of the gods, the great hero of Olympus, who then ascended the throne and brought victory in the war of the gods with the Titans. The hero of all heroes, Hercules. The man replied that he felt a little awkward being reminded of his past exploits. Jun thought, so this man is the one who shot the poisoned arrow at Chiron. Hercules said that he heard Jun healed his teacher. Jun became worried. But then Hercules hit Jun on the shoulder and thanked him. The force was such that the suit almost broke. Anyway, Hercules introduced himself and said that he used to be a demigod, but became a constellation that protects Olympus. The guys also introduced themselves. Hercules said that he called him here for a reason. He wants Jun to find out something. This passage appeared because of the Titans. It was used by monsters trying to invade Olympus. And lately, monsters have been coming here through this hole often. It seems to him that someone from the outside is trying to invade here. Jun wondered if Coco might be related to the appearance of the gate in Busan. Hercules needs Jun to find out where all these creatures come from. Even if it costs him 200,000 points, it's worth abandoning the task, Jun thought. But seeing Hercules' muscles, he changed his mind and bowed and accepted the task. Hercules said he liked his attitude, just like Hebe said. She tells him every time how sorry she is for underestimating him. Jun said that he can tell her that he is not offended. The route was plotted, but Jun noticed that the map told him to go to the cave. Hercules lifted Jun and said that he would launch him deep into the depths with his own hands at great speed. Dean ran up to Sam and asked if the guy had signed the contract. Sam said, "What contract is there? You can forget about it." He turned out to be a heartless person. Dean asked why. He had done so much. Sam replied that it wasn't him. He suddenly received an order and left. Then Dean said that it was a common excuse, but Sam replied that it was not so. After all, he came to him with a delivery to the dungeon. He then received a message from Ares himself, because it was exactly the thing he asked for. Anyway, they will continue to look for new hunters for the guild. Then Sam asked how his assignment was going. This sacred relic, which Ares passed on through Jun, was his spare sword for a time. But since he no longer needed it, he put it up for auction. In addition, he needed money to pay for signing the contract. But since he could not persuade Jun, Dean said they had a buyer. Sam replied that meant they would go ahead with the original plan. Recently, there has been a problem of serial thefts in interguild trade. During the transportation of the inventory, particularly valuable items were stolen, and this sword cannot be bought for a couple of won. Then Sam remembered that Jun called himself a delivery man, and said that he had a great idea. Jun was falling at a tremendous speed, and in a few moments, he would already arrive at his destination. He thought that if he kept falling like this, he would just end up in a pancake and called for his motorcycle. Jun said that this motorcycle was worth the money. They survived only because of it. They went down and Jun asked if they should find out from these stones. Lucy answered that they needed to tell Hercules something. Just as Jun was cursing at Hercules, the earth suddenly shook, and Lucy and Jun became frightened. There may be a monster here that couldn't be seen from the top. But suddenly a voice was heard asking if they had just spoken about Hercules. Jun wondered what kind of giant this was. It was almost as tall as the mountain from the journey to the west. The giant asked how he was related to Hercules. Jun replied that he was not related to him in any way. He just asked to find out how the monsters got from here to the outside. Suddenly, the giant began to laugh and said that as soon as things started to smell bad, this little guy decided to look for him. He should be ashamed, Jun thought. Obviously, this giant could answer Hercules' question. Jun asked if the giant could tell him what he knew. But the giant asked why he would help this sucker. Then Jun asked Lucy why the skyscraper answered like that. Lucy asked if he really didn't know. His name is Atlas. He lost the war between the gods and the Titans, and as punishment, he was forced to hold the firmament on his shoulders. And the long-haired jock shouldn't have warned him about their feud. Why all the gods are such hopeless idiots. Atlas said that Nymph was right. Even though monsters end up in the outside world, it has nothing to do with him. Jun thought that if he couldn't convince the giant, he wouldn't be able to make the delivery, and heavenly punishment would await him. So he decided to change tactics, he asked sweetly. How could he refuse such a cutie like him? He doesn't ask to share information for free, he can fulfill any request. Atlas laughed and asked if he thought he would trust some matter to an ordinary person. Jun asked why not. Atlas said he was pretty brave for a human. In that case, let him bring him the golden apple. If he gets it, he will tell you what to do with the monsters. Jun thought, golden apple. Somehow it sounded familiar. But Lucy started screaming that it was impossible. Lucy said that the golden apple was a real treasure, but Jun shut her mouth. Jun asked if that would really be enough, Atlas answered. Of course, he swears by the honor of the Titans. Then Jun said, since he was making a promise, let him swear it on the river Styx like a man. Atlas laughed and swore by the river. Then Jun took out his phone. Entering the store, Jun bought a golden apple and showed it to Atlas. Hercules said that Jun and Lucy haven't returned yet. So why can't Atlas be persuaded that easily? It seems he forgot to warn them about something, Hercules said, as the edge of the earth lit up behind him. And turning around, I saw a motorcycle, but unfortunately he was too close, and he got the full brunt of it from the motorcycle. Jun and Lucy immediately fell to the ground, begging for mercy, screaming that they hadn't hit him on purpose. Hercules replied that everything was fine. Something like that couldn't harm him. Be that as it may, apparently Atlas did not give them any information. He knew that the task would be too difficult. Apparently, he is still upset about those stolen golden apples. So many years have passed, and he is still sulking. Hercules said that since they failed the task, he would have to subject them to heavenly punishment. Jun said he got the information. Atlas told him everything when he gave it to him. Atlas asked how Jun was able to get it. Jun replied that he bought it in a store. And then Atlas said that he would tell him everything. Just let him give him the apple. But Jun demanded the information in advance. Jun told Atlas to tell him everything and ask why the monster started appearing. This is what Atlas said. He listened to him, but did not give him the apple and ran away. Ever since he heard that he had healed his mentor's leg, he knew that he was no ordinary person. This guy reminds him of himself in his youth, Hercules thought about June. Hercules asked, "So Atlas said," June answered. He didn't seem to be asking a riddle, but he said something strange. The land divided into 7 branches, a place where blue flames burn in every corner. He said that monsters come from there. Hercules thought that the problem was getting more complicated. Looking at these monsters, he immediately realized that they were from another world. This man, who can move freely between the earth and the mythical world, is also accompanied by a nymph. The 3 goddesses of vengeance, the Erinyes, were very cruel. How could they put such a heavy job on such a small man? June extended his hand and said he had completed the task, so it was time to pay him. Later, Hermes appeared and Hercules asked how long he had been there. Hermes answered, "Since the moment those guys left. Let him better tell him how much longer he will speak to him respectfully. He hates ceremony." Hercules said that he didn't dare. After all, he had helped him complete tasks so many times. Hermes asked if he knew how difficult this made it to watch his relationship with his brothers, especially with Ares, to whom he didn't even respond. Hercules said that every time they meet he starts a fight because of the past. He will only treat him like a brother when he starts acting like that. Hermes asked, and he is still at odds with his grandfather Atlas. Hercules replied that after all this he would go down and make peace with him, and even if he did, he would not want to mend fences. Hermes asked, and what the grandfather told him was the very place they were both thinking about. The land divided into 7 branches, a place where blue flames burn in every corner. Hermes said they need to get ready too. He will report what happened today. Hercules said that Hermes was so busy that he could tell it himself, but Hermes replied that he would do everything himself. Who will deal with these creatures if he is not here, especially delivering news? That is his job. Hermes asked to say hello to his wife, and then flew away. And Hercules then began to fight the monsters. June woke Lucy up, shouting that they had to go, but Lucy was sleepy and asked for 5 more minutes. Then June said, "No 5 minutes, it's time for them to go." Lucy asked where they were in such a hurry so early in the morning. "What do you mean where?" He said that today was the hunter's exam. And when he told her to wait at home, she protested. Lucy remembered and asked what he would do for the hunter exam. June asked. She herself asked to take her with her, but she herself did not know what to do there. Then June started to get ready. He said that he didn't want to just wear it, so he would leave it here. The guys arrived at their destination, and there were a lot of people there. The guy said that he was announcing the beginning of the hunter's ability test. June watched the others. He thought that even an ordinary person could cope with such monsters. So the point of this exam is not just to pass it, it's how they do it. All he can do is attack them with his suit, as June was called. First, he had to make it as inconspicuous as possible, thought June. The spectators praised the other hunter for his martial arts, and asked if he was involved in sports. The fat man on the jury said that art alone would not be enough. He had been fighting for too long with only 3 goblins. The girl complained that there was so much noise from these old men. She also had something to say about their guilds. People started asking if it was Jill from the Black Dragon. She personally came to look for a hunter for the guild. Until recently, the Black Dragon was ranked 3rd in the country, but the guild lost most of its sponsors due to scandals. And now she has to look for new hunters herself, but so far she hasn't seen anyone worthy. It was June's time, Lucy supporting him from her place. It is important for him to pass the test, but if he is too conspicuous, he may start to irritate them. Therefore, he was going to concentrate his strength and pass the exams without difficulty. Compared to the sirens, these creatures attack much slower. I wonder if he can avoid their attacks without the suit. Jill thought this guy moved pretty well. She had seen that kind of dodging somewhere before. You have to hit them lightly so you don't kill them with one blow, June thought. But even with a light blow, June destroyed all the monsters with one blow. The girl congratulated June on passing to the next stage. The result was the 3rd in history. He didn't expect anything else. But was it really that easy to become a hunter? Lucy asked June to go to a cafe to eat. She said that she liked that cafe, not far from the area. While June and Lucy were discussing food, Jill approached them and introduced herself. June immediately remembered that this was the girl he met in the dungeon. She invited Jun to join her guild, but Jun just walked past and immediately replied that he didn't want to. Jill said that the guild was recruiting hunters to join its ranks. Jun replied that he was not planning to join any guilds right now, but Jill thought she had to have it at any cost and said she would pay 5 billion. June stopped, and Jill thought she had convinced him. But June replied that she was more greedy than he thought, that this amount was for him. Jill ran after him, shouting that no one would ever offer him that kind of money again. Then June said that the one guild offered him 20 billion. Already in the cafe, June saw the news, which talked about a mysterious newcomer. Lucy started saying she wanted to eat, but what she wanted wasn't available, so she chose another dish. Suddenly they were given a plate with 2 portions of fried meat. It was Sam. June asked if Sam had now taken a job as a waiter to pursue him. Sam suggested having lunch. Jun said that last time he said that he would not join the guild. Then Sam said that Jun was taking the hunter exam. Jun said that he still didn't want to join the guild. Sam said that this time he didn't come for that reason. He needed a courier. The day after tomorrow, one item is supposed to be delivered to Japan. Initially they were just going to send it by plane. But now an unknown thief is preventing them from doing this. He wants Jun to accompany the cargo to its destination. Jun said that's okay, he does the delivery, but how much will they pay him for his services? Sam replied that he didn't have to worry about money, they could pay him as much as he wanted. Jun asked for numbers, Sam said 20 billion, and Jun immediately bowed and accepted the order. While Jun was humiliating himself as best he could, Lucy was enjoying her delicious lunch. The girl said that she was ready for the task and was waiting for Hermes' order. Jun and Lucy came to the ship. Lucy was surprised by the amount of iron, as was Jun. He never thought that he would sail on a cargo ship, so this is not a delivery, but simply an escort of cargo. The guard said he had to check the ID. The guy had to prove his membership in the guild. Jun took out a map and said that he was sent here by the one guild, so they immediately allowed them to pass. Lucy said that not every god has such a ship, and if he does, of course, it must be big. They approached the door and Jun wondered if it was too obvious, as if they were asking a thief to steal what was inside. The doors opened and Jun said that now it was clear why they advertised it so much. They are guarding it at the highest level. Is there really a thief who can remove this sword? Jun asked if this sword was special. Lucy replied, a shining golden sword exuding divine power. It is the famous sword of Charlemagne. Then Jun said that she really knew everything in the world. Lucy replied that it was natural, she was a nymph after all. Then he sat down and told her not to sleep, in case some fool decided to rob the ship. 20 billion is a huge sum. If the sword is stolen, they may demand even more compensation from him. You need to concentrate and keep your eyes open. The ship sailed away and Jun relaxed a little. But suddenly that same girl appeared, put everyone to sleep, and said that she was going to her goal. Lucy woke up Jun and told him to wake up. Jun asked how he fell asleep. Then Lucy screamed. Fog appeared. He and everyone outside fell asleep. Jun quickly covered his nose. The sword, fortunately, was still in place. Then Jun used his suit. Due to the suit's power, he should be immune to certain substances. Opening the door, he saw the thief praying to God, asking him to allow her to be a worthy thief today too. Jun thought she was crazy, and if he caught her, the delivery would go like clockwork. As soon as the girl began to act, she was tied up, but it was not an ordinary rope. Jun used a mythical rope woven from the threads of Arachne the Weaver, who defeated Athena in a dispute. The girl asked how he was able to withstand the divine gas, and where he got this rope. Jun said that for a thief she talks too much. The girl ordered to untie her. She is obliged to take something from here. Then Jun asked if she thought he was completely crazy, since she was a thief who came to steal someone else's property. She replied that she only steals what really needs to be stolen. After all, it is a good deed. The girl said that she is Robin Hood. She is the same as him. She takes things and gives them to those who really need them. The guys looked back and said that she really was crazy. Then the girl shouted that this was all to counter the impending threat. Lord Hermes said that the sword must be returned to its first owner. Jun asked if she was the messenger of the god Hermes. Suddenly she said that she was not given it for use in such a situation, but she will make him regret what he did today. Then there was a bright explosion. The power was great, a regular smoke grenade, just with very sad smoke. This girl is tied up with Arachne's rope, so she can't escape, but it turns out she did. The girl used the elixir of the astral body, which, when consumed, frees the soul from the physical body. Hermes' hunter Stella, she managed to escape. The elixir's effects were slowly wearing off. She thought her plan almost failed when she encountered this strange guy on the way. Suddenly the constellation, the cunning messenger, asked Stella if everything went according to plan. Stella replied that there was a problem, but she stole what he asked for, one of the items found in the King Arthur tale, and which belonged to the Lady of the Lake, who gave the king the sword Excalibur. Hermes asked about the problem. Stella replied that she was sure she had used the gas correctly, but one guy woke up. Then Hermes asked who this man was. Stella began to think about the answer. She said the guy was dressed in a superhero costume and had this weird magical rope that made it impossible to move. Hermes asked if there was a child with the man. Stella replied that there was a cute little girl with blue hair with him. And then it dawned on her how Hermes knew so much about this man. Was he really famous? Hermes laughed and asked her not to worry, as this was also part of his plan. Stella thought that if Hermes said so, then that guy was junior in rank, and she decided that during their next meeting, she, as the eldest, would teach him manners. Jun received money while he was on Olympus. The guy was happy. As the one guild feared, there was a commotion due to the appearance of a thief. But now there is no need to worry about the balance on the card. Lucy said that this means she can get even more candy. Lucy asked why they were going to Hephaestus. Jun replied, simply because he could meet him in person. Jun had already used almost all of the scales that Hydra had given him. They arrived, but even though the light was on, Hephaestus did not answer Jun, so they came without warning. Lucy suggested going to eat meat instead of waiting for him, Jun asked, since when her favorite dish was meat. Then Hephaestus came and said that they were just talking about him. What a coincidence. Next to Hephaestus was a luxurious woman. Her name was Freya. Freya is the chief goddess of the Scandinavian family of gods, leads the Valkyries, and taught Odin magic. Suddenly, Jun got angry and grabbed Hephaestus and started shouting that he was cheating on Aphrodite. Hephaestus replied that she was his client and wanted to order delivery from him. The girl laughed and said, as she had told her, he was very funny. Jun immediately apologized. Jun continued to apologize. Then Freya said that it was okay. but if Aphrodite were here, there would be trouble. Freya said she needed him to deliver a letter to Helheim. Lucy said this is the world of the dead. Like Tartarus where he was. It is a very dangerous task. Before, he would have accepted an order without even thinking, but now he doesn't have to risk himself to deliver something. He has a good place to live, and a lot of money. Even if he no longer works, he will be able to provide for both himself and Lucy. But of course greed won. June could not refuse 5 billion. Jun said maybe it's because this road leads to the afterlife. The atmosphere is creepy. Lucy said she told him so. Norse mythology is too ruthless. June told her not to be a coward. Why was she saying more and more depressing things day by day? Lucy said it was all because of him. Every time she was around him, she felt like her life was getting shorter. Valhalla is like a paradise where warriors who died on the battlefield go. Helheim is the afterlife where people go after dying of natural causes or illness. Since he had never heard of Helheim, it probably wasn't that dangerous there. There were 10 minutes left before leaving for Helheim. Yoon was calm. Suddenly, they felt a terrible fear that paralyzed them both. Suddenly, a voice was heard. Very strange things. The living are trying to cross the Helheim bridge. It smells like life. He's not her man, this guy who was already dying. June became nervous and asked if she was talking about him. It was raining cats and dogs that day, and he knew better than anyone that it was dangerous to make deliveries in such weather. However, he kept receiving rent notices, and of course, this forced him to take up the work. Then he was suddenly hit by a car and June skidded across the road. He cursed at the driver. While he was collecting the delivery, a car pulled up to him, and he didn't even notice it. He was eventually shot down, and June died at the age of 27 while delivering food. Jun shouted, "Do we really think he would say that? He is still alive." The woman said he smelled of rot and decay. He wants to say she was wrong. Lucy said maybe it's because he was recently in Tartarus that he smells like that. Just as nymphs who live by a stream smell like a stream, nymphs who live by a river smell like rivers, leaves, and herbs. Tartarus and Helheim are from different myths, but the afterlife is the same everywhere. So she smells the smell of death. June himself didn't feel anything, but Hydra told him that he smelled like a spirit from hell. The woman said that she had heard of a man who met with Hades in Tartarus. In that case, he cannot help but know her. The one who guards this place and this bridge. Lucy said, an evil warrior, or one who is tired of fighting. The chief of the guard, guarding the bridge, Lady Modgood. Modgood asked why they needed to cross this bridge, Lucy said, at the request of Lady Freya. Hearing about the letter, Modgood suddenly let them go easily and they left, which surprised Juna. Whatever the case, he was glad they were let through. He needed to leave quickly before she changed her mind. It looked like they were getting closer. Jun thought they would soon reach hell. It was unbearably cold. It was immediately clear that this was hell from Scandinavian mythology. The place looked like the North Pole. I should have warned him about the local climate right away. This Freya is a liar. Lucy said she read about it in textbooks. Unless you're a dead person who's already forgotten the feeling of cold. You have to be a giant to survive here. June asked why she was only talking about it now. Lucy said that she was just remembering it herself. Then June started looking around the store for something that could help. He found a down jacket, but the price was very high. This moped cost 100, and some cape cost 2. There is no choice. The points he earned with blood, crumpled, and tears. Lucy said that the jacket was so warm, June didn't expect that Lucy got a jacket too. This is because it can be done with effects, just like the invisibility helmet. It was a win-win, since he would still make money on the delivery. Even though the down jacket made the cold bearable, the wind prevented the moped from moving forward at all. So June decided to wait until the storm died down and hid under a large boulder. Lucy said they would be covered in snow. June replied. He would just warm up the phone, and they would continue on their way. Vorsi would have been fine for now, when suddenly Lucy told him to come out and look at it. There was a naked man and wolves were chasing him. The man shouted that if they wanted to live, they should run away right now. Jun got on the moped and rode off, shouting for the strange guy not to run after them. The guy said that while he was running, there was no point in talking to him. He was already going through a tough time. Jun asked why, of all the possible directions, he was running in his direction. The strange guy said he was glad to see him. Since he came here, he had seen nothing but ice and wolves. Suddenly, the boys saw a hut. June and Lucy went in and locked the door behind them. And the strange guy somehow managed to jump over a 7-meter fence. The guy said that there was no wall in the world that he could not overcome. Be that as it may, he was late with his introductions because of their escape. He is a descendant of the greatest man in the world, the king of the gods Odin, a glorious warrior of the Volsung clan. His name is Sigurd. June of course knew nothing about him, but Lucy remembered him. He is the hero of the Volsunga saga, who killed the evil dragon, a dragon slayer himself. The guy said he wasn't such a hero to deserve such a performance. Sigurd suggested going into the hut. June said that they could not enter without even knowing who the owner was. Then Sigurd replied that there was a blizzard outside and they were surrounded by man-eating wolves. June said that if anything happened, he was responsible. Luckily, this place is not that far from their destination, so they can wait out the snowstorm here for a while. They came in. Sigurd asked what business they had here. They did not look like warriors. June said hesitantly that he had been asked to deliver something to someone who lived there. Sigurd thought it was strange, and June asked why Sigurd didn't kill those wolves. He was the dragon slayer. Then Sigurd replied, "This is a world where the dead live. Why fight with those who are already dead? Fighting them will only wear you out, and then they'll eat you alive, so it's better to just run away." "So to whom and what should he deliver?" Sigurd asked again. "He is familiar with these places. He can guide them." June said that Freya actually asked him to deliver her letter personally. Sigurd said that in that case he should have told him about it right away. June asked how he could just trust the information to a guy in underwear. Suddenly those wolves came through the gate. Sigurd told them that he would deal with them, and that they should run out the back door. June asked if he could handle it alone. Sigurd took out his sword, which he had used to kill the dragon. With one swing of his sword, Sigurd killed all the man-eating wolves, which amazed June. But Sigurd was not so happy about this. All the pieces of the wolves gathered and united into a huge monster. This is what he was talking about when he said that it is impossible to die in this world. Sigurd told June that he would buy them some time and that they should run away. While Sigurd was wondering if the boys would be able to escape, June took out his club and hit the monster. In one blow, the Helsing wolves, now considered immortal animals, completely disappeared from the face of the earth. Sigurd said, "It's hard to believe, even Hel, the mistress of these lands, cannot control this territory." June thought that Sigurd wanted to say that he was endowed with such talent. Had he really shown talent? Lucy said that she understood everything. It was all thanks to Dubinka. It was mistletoe that long ago killed Balder, the second son of Odin, king of Asgard. And this artifact is so valuable that it is rarely found in the myths. A mythical class weapon that can be used to destroy an immortal. And Durandal, which guarantees his safety, costs 20 billion. How much does this weapon cost, capable of killing an immortal 10 or 100 times? Without even knowing it, he treats him like an idiot. June apologized to Ares. With this attitude, June decided to go to Hel. The guy ran after them. They arrived. The place was much bigger than June imagined. Lucy said that she was also seeing this place for the first time. Sigurd came running and said that it was too dangerous to go there alone. The poor guy had been running after them all this time. June said he could go with him. "What's the problem?" Sigurd asked. "Does June think it's that easy to enter the tower?" Suddenly a crowd of warriors ran out and ordered the boys not to move, but Sigurd calmly greeted them. Sigurd said that these were the messengers of Lady Freya, who had come to deliver a message. June asked why they were so polite to him. Sigurd replied that he was their general. The boys entered what seemed to be a castle in the afterlife, but there was nothing special inside, June said. Suddenly, a beautiful girl approached them. Apparently, she served the mistress. She said that they told her everything. The guests brought a letter from Lady Freya. The girl asked them to follow her. June asked if she was also some kind of hero. Lucy replied that Ganglo was not a hero, but for a long time she was a servant of Lady Hel. Lucy asked how Lady Ganglo managed to poison herself next to the goddess for so many years, but received no answer. Sigurd said that he would only take them as far as here. Inside, June had to give the letter. When June met Hephaestus and the others, this was not the case. Perhaps because she is the goddess of death. He is nervous. The girl introduced June, Hel said. Strange art from him, neither alive nor dead. The one who destroyed the balance. June said that he brought a letter. Hel took the letter. Child of the outside world. Is everything written here really true? Hel asked. June replied that he was just a courier. June asked why she was asking. Hel said he was unusually confident. Okay, if he's so curious, then she'll tell you that someone is supposedly dressing up as Helm's dead to get to Valhalla. This is the work of aliens. The people of Helheim have nothing to do with it. In the entire universe, there is only one place from which such a vile act could have been committed. To interfere with the cycle of life and death. A place where the earth is split into 7 parts, and everything around is burning with blue flames. They are guilty, Hel said, June thought. This little one is the one everyone is afraid of. Hel asked, did they leave? The girl answered. They opened the warp, so that they could immediately get to Olympus. Freya is such a bad girl. She came up with the idea of sending living people to Helheim. It is said that he visits various myths and carries out orders from the gods in exchange for points. In any case, they were convinced that they existed. She in person would go to the very epicenter of events. Hephaestus asked if June was sure of this. June and Lucy replied that they had heard everything correctly. Freya said the prophecy sounded so absurd that she thought it was just a figment of the imagination. June thought why everyone had such serious faces when he told Hercules about this. He also reacted. Freya said that unfortunately she had to go back. She would come for the goods later. It would be better if he didn't know about it. But since he already knew something, she had to tell him, she thought. Did no one notice that the situation had gone this far? Or did someone deliberately turn a blind eye to it? Then June touched her and said, she seems to have forgotten to pay him. Suddenly Freya became angry and asked how he, a mere mortal, dared to touch her body without her permission. It was incredible pressure. But he couldn't be left without money, thought June. So I asked for money. Freya said that she had completely forgotten about it and paid. Finally, his first million, if converted into cash, then it is more than 10 billion. Freya laughed at the reaction and left. Hephaestus said, June is either crazy or brave. Since time immemorial, it has been believed that a man should be incredibly brave. The main thing is not to slide into feeble-mindedness and courage. June asked what happened in the place where the earth is divided into 7 parts. Why is everyone so scared? Hercules had the same expression on his face, June said. Hephaestus suddenly fell silent. Then Hephaestus shouted, "If this happened, why didn't he tell about it?" He thought that sooner or later the meeting of the gods had to take place. In any case, it was to blame for everything. The meeting of the gods is literally a gathering of the 12 gods of Olympus, where they discuss heavenly plans. This is the first time they've met in 389 years, and he's beginning to understand why. Hephaestus told June to forget about it. It wasn't a pleasant story. The very fact that he knew about it could cause problems. The gods are primarily responsible for this. He will know about everything when the time comes. In the end, he will face this himself without wanting to. Of course, it would be better if this did not happen. June and Lucy finally moved in. Lucy said that ditch was nothing compared to this place. Now that there are no belongings from the previous tenants left here, he feels like this is his home. If he knew this was going to happen, he probably should have stopped by the furniture store that time on his way to the hunter exam. Lucy wanted a bigger room, but June said that the biggest room should be his. Either way, this room will be his. So she needs to put her foot down, and now she needs to buy furniture. The guys had barely left when the doorbell rang. June had just moved in, so he wasn't expecting guests. But he still opened the door. It was Irene. She brought a strange cake. June asked why she came here. Lucy said that they saw her when they delivered the sword. Apparently, she's their neighbor. He has been so busy lately that he completely forgot about her. Irene gave June a cake and June asked what it was. Irene said it was a housewarming present. June said he didn't even throw a housewarming party. Didn't invite anyone. Would they throw one right on the day of moving? While June was wondering why the cake was green, Lucy grabbed it and ran away with it. But after trying it, she almost threw up and asked what that disgusting taste was. Irene came up and said it was mint with chocolate. It was delicious. June asked why she had dropped by his house. Irene replied, "An investigation assignment." Sam asked her to ask him about it. He promised to pay any price. For details, you need to contact the guild. June replied that his services were expensive. Irene showed 2 fingers, but June was not happy. Then Irene showed 4 fingers, and that certainly convinced the guy. The guys arrived at the guild. Lucy said that June said that they were buying furniture today. June replied that the furniture wouldn't run away anywhere. Lucy was hungry, so June said how many more times would they have the chance to make 4 billion. Irene took out a card and said, "This is a coupon for the cafeteria. You can eat there after the meeting." Lucy said she thought the girl was stupid for eating mouthwash, but she was so nice. They walked in and Sam greeted them. He said he heard June moved in today. June asked to get down to business, since he had a child with him who was asking to hurry up. They sat down, and June thought that if he was smiling so widely, he was about to be given a very difficult task. Sam said he probably remembers that boss from the dungeon, and like that monster, the difficulty of the others has increased. If nothing is done, the dungeon may break through, and if that happens, the monsters will enter their world. This could jeopardize the very existence of the country, and the further consequences are hard to imagine. June said that he himself understands that the situation is terrible, but they are asking him to find out the reason. Sam said he wanted to give him a very easy task and suggested moving on to the next point. All he has to do is go to the dungeon specified in the contract and simply explore the monster. The Red Dragon is a level 7 monster, the highest level in the Republic of Korea. Jun asked why the #1 guild in the country would entrust such a task to a mere delivery man. Sam said they would take care of the landscaping and other little things, and he would just take care of the Red Dragon and the Lizard King, the monster that is next to the dragon. Jun didn't like it. He grabbed Sam and said he wouldn't do such a dangerous job for 4 billion. Sam said it was just an advance. After completing the task, he would pay him twice as much, and Jun of course agreed. The old man asked why he was late. The boy replied that something happened on the way back. He caught it down there, and now they're starting to show up in Northern Europe too. It happened faster than they expected. He had known for a long time that the end was coming, but he didn't think it would come so quickly. Lord Odin said that there was a problem in Valhalla, and he asked to go to Helheim once. In that case, he doesn't need to worry so much. He heard that Freya was helped by a hero from the Greek gods. The boy asked if it was Orpheus or Achilles. The old man replied, no, from what he was told, an ordinary man, like the boy. Suddenly, the guy thought that this meant that another person was also delivering something to the gods. How dare he encroach on his territory? Now the guy wanted to see what kind of impudent fellow he was. Province, Southern Gate, June said. He promised that he would not take a step in this direction, and here he is. Lucy asked if he had been in this dungeon. June replied, no, but he had lived in a place worse than this. June summoned his motorcycle, just in case he asked Hephaestus for a favor. He could not even imagine that he would receive such incredible abilities. And although the scooter's durability has increased, I wouldn't want to risk exposing myself to danger due to effects like I did with Modgood. Jun was delighted with the new capabilities of his motorcycle. Even in the swamp, the wheels did not get stuck. Suddenly, they arrived at a huge, beautiful palace. Lucy asked if he lived in such a hole. June answered, no, of course. The report said that he could meet the lizard man by going through this gate. Jun quickly used his invisibility helmet and hid with Lucy. Lucy asked, so what will they do? As usual, they will destroy everyone. Jun thought, he wasn't tasked with destroying monsters, only studying them. This means he doesn't have to take the risk and go for the head-on like he did last time. They will simply observe the king of the lizardmen and complete the first part of the task. Luckily, they didn't notice the guys thanks to the invisibility skill. Jun hoped that he would be able to reach the place where the main monster was without any problems. And he can still buy things in the store. He can also flex, since he will be paid 8 billion for this task. Suddenly, Juna received an order, and unfortunately, when the notification turned on, the helmet effect disappeared, and the guys saw it. The lizards ran after them, but Jun stopped abruptly, and at the moment when the lizard wanted to attack, Jun showed the phone. This order was sent by their boss. The king ordered the delivery. It's strange, of course, that the order came from a monster. But what difference does it make? Jun said there was no time, so let them take him to their king as soon as possible. The lizards pointed their fingers at Jun to make him turn around, and Jun turned around in fear to see this old man. This is not at all like the incredible description that was in the report. It's even somehow embarrassing. Jun didn't know how to communicate with him and thought maybe he should look into the store. But then Lucy said that she could translate. Lucy had learned their language long ago. Long ago, a disaster befell the kingdom, and every single one of the cubs, youth, and old people were exterminated by a cruel invader. Jun asked if they wanted Jun to somehow deal with him. Suddenly all the lizards became cuties. But Jun said that he couldn't do it. He wasn't that good. Lucy translated that they were ready to give him all the treasures of the kingdom if he completed the task. And Jun, of course, immediately agreed and said that they could rely on him. And at this time, Stella was in the treasury and was thinking about what to steal. There were 10 seconds left before the meeting of the thief, Hermes, and the knight Hermes. They came to the treasury, and Jun said that judging by the size of the door, there should be a lot of treasure there. The Lizard King opened the doors, and Jun said that there was as much wealth here as Ares. The lizard admitted that they were taken from the people who came here. Jun asked if he was proud of this or something. When he heard the noise, the guys met again. Stella was immediately captured. She thought about what to do. She doesn't know why exactly, but she was told to take the treasures. Then Stella turned to Jun and said that the younger one remembers her. If he came here on Hermes' orders, let him explain to them why she is here. The king asked if this thief was his colleague. Jun immediately answered no. Jun asked, "She says that Hermes sent her. Does she really think that he will fall for it?" Stella said if he helps here, she will do whatever he asks. Then Jun told her to first swear on the river Styx. If she did this, he would help. Either they'll kill her here or she'll rot alive in their dungeon, Jun threatened. Then Stella said that if he saved her from them, she swears by the river Styx that she will definitely repay the younger one. Jun decided that this was enough and asked Lucy to translate everything. Then she was released. Stella stood up and asked what she wanted. The little pervert. Jun shouted at her what she had imagined there. Suddenly, Jun received a notification about an order. He was given only 3 hours to kill the dragon. Then Jun told Lucy to hurry up. Lucy asked if he wanted to look at the reward, but Jun had already run away. There are 30 kilometers to the destination. He will drive at full speed, so he will get there without any problems. But there on the spot, will he be able to defeat a monster about which nothing is known in the remaining time? Jun was driving at full speed when suddenly Stella appeared in front of him. Then Jun stopped and said let him take what he needed and leave. Stella said that he saved her, so she would help him. Jun said he wasn't going to let her go for long, so let her go. Then Stella told him that the monster they were going to kill was actually a red dragon. If this is the same dragon that Sam asked her to study, it is a monster of the highest level. That's why he sent him to study the lizard people and the red dragon, Jun thought. Stella thought that she really didn't want to run into such a creature. But she will only receive the treasures of the lizard people if she wins their trust by completing the task. Stella said she knew a shortcut. Jun asked how she could help if all she knew was stealing. Then Stella said that the younger one only sees the tip of the iceberg. Thieves have their own tricks. They arrived. The dragon was sleeping and snoring loudly. Jun said they would have to attack. He put on a motorcycle suit, power mode. Jun did a super jump and hit the dragon. The dragon woke up and Jun began to fight this powerful monster. Stella asked how he was even able to attack this monster. Since Hermes chose her, she has overcome more challenges than other hunters could ever dream of. But what she sees now is simply beyond comprehension. The association has assigned this dragon the 7th level of difficulty. In all the dungeons and gates that people have managed to clear so far, the appearance of such monsters can be counted on the fingers of one hand. And if he is the same messenger of Hermes as she is, then he definitely could not have become so strong so quickly. Nowadays, to get to that level, you have to work as a hunter for at least 15 years. And even if you look at them from a mythological perspective, they all have more than one divine patron. But this guy in front of her hasn't worked for even a year, and he's already on the same level as her, or even surpasses her. And there is something strange about this red dragon. Despite the fact that the younger one is in front of him, the monster seems not to see him. Only then did Stella realize that it was an invisibility helmet. The dragon didn't know where it was, so he decided to destroy everything around it. Jun decided to hit him again and hit the dragon with all his might, causing a huge hole to appear from this blow. But just when Jun decided that the dragon was dead, he opened his eyes and the suit would soon lose its powers. Jun won't last a minute without the suit. All he has to do is figure it out in that time. But even when Jun tried to hit the monster with a club, he couldn't do it because the invisibility doesn't apply to it. Stella asked why he was stuck in one place. Then she decided to help. But Lucy called her a silly girl. Instead of ruining everything, she should just stand aside and watch. With June, everything will be fine. There is no need to worry. He has found himself in difficult situations many times, but he always copes. And in the end, he received recognition from many gods and heroes, so he will never lose to this monster. Stella said that this attack wasn't that strong at all. She knows he's strong, but if he just keeps standing there. Then Stella noticed that Lucy was shaking and decided to remain silent. Stella was worried and saw that June had grabbed the dragon, but she didn't understand why. Jun had no time left. Suddenly Jun noticed something. He noticed a strange scale. Lucy shouted for him to attack that place. Then Jun took out the magazine. Jun asked Lucy if this monster is considered a dragon. Lucy shouted that she herself did not know, since she had never studied such details. But it seemed to be a type of dinosaur-like dragon, so he can be considered a dragon. Then Jun bought a magic sword. This sword will be enough to hit the dragon in its weak spot. Unexpectedly for everyone, the dragon burst into flames completely, so that Jun could not sneak up on it. Lucy shouted at Jun that it was too dangerous, but then Stella ran forward, saying that he couldn't win alone. "We need to join forces." Jun told her it was dangerous here. Stella replied that thieves have their own ways. She threw the bottle at the dragon, and in an instant it was completely covered in ice. Jun said that with this potion she could defeat him right away. Stella replied that she was waiting for the second phase. But then Lucy screamed that they had relaxed too early, and the ice began to melt. Stella said that Demeter's ice cannot be simply destroyed. Jun replied that the potion can freeze anything, but ice can be broken. The dragon went mad with anger and began to breathe fire. Jun had 20 seconds left. Stella said she would think of something, and in the meantime he had to distract him. Then she threw another potion at him. The dragon was tied up. Jun took advantage of this moment and cut the dragon into 2 parts. Dean talked to Sam. He said after his research they found out that the place was not dangerous. Sam replied, "Dean did a great job this time too. Maybe he should leave early today." Dean asked if this rumor was true, the bomb that the association had slipped them. Sam replied that if he was talking about the dungeon of the lizard people, then he would soon go crazy because of it. Everything was fine until he was contacted and informed that the task was completed. Jun said that he seemed to have accidentally killed the red dragon, and he would be paid for it. Sam thought Jun was joking, but after the guild members went to check, they confirmed that it was true. He couldn't even imagine that this monster could be defeated, how he would report this to the association. He is, of course, glad that he was able to kill the monster that could cause a disaster in the future. One of the conditions was to keep Jun's identity a secret. But the association would definitely begin to suspect that they had entrusted the killing of the monster to an outsider. Dean said, "First those giants, now the red dragon. Should everyone else be downgraded?" Sam suggested, starting with Dean. While Dean was panicking, Sam was thinking that anyway, since the dragon had been defeated, the research into the lizard people was still ongoing. Jun returned to the mansion, and all the lizard people ran up to him and bowed in gratitude. Then Jun told the king that it was okay. He was the king. There was no need to do this to him. And by the way, when he gave him the promised reward, the king ordered and the lizard brought the reward. It was a purse. The king asked if he liked the gift. Jun pounced and asked, he made him go through all this for it. Lucy explained that this is not an ordinary wallet. It can hold large and heavy things. The next day, in the morning, Sam called him and said that the gate that had appeared recently had disappeared. Perhaps the gate was a salvation for the lizard people from the destruction of their kingdom. And now that peace has returned there, they have no reason to move, especially if there is a way to get rid of the monsters without killing them. If only all the problems on Earth could be resolved peacefully. The very thought of it makes my head split. Stella congratulated Jun on his award. Jun asked how she was doing. She had to spend her potions. Then Stella replied that she never works at a loss. Taking off, she said, "Yesterday and today it was fun with him. Thanks to him, she was able to get what she needed." Lucy said she really can't keep her hands to herself. Then Lucy asked if they were going home. Jun replied that they would go for money first. At home, Jun received money and a message that after processing the dragon's body, they would transfer the proceeds to him. He had been going into the dungeon without a hunter's license all this time, and now he found out that he could get extra money for the bodies of monsters. Now he can't just walk past the monsters. Jun cooked chicken and called Lucy. Lucy was immediately delighted, Jun said, as if she had never eaten chicken before. The chicken was hot, but that didn't stop Lucy. She ate it like it was the first time. They say that expensive chicken is delicious even when cold, and when reheated, it tastes the same as yesterday. Until recently, he could only afford 2 servings of chicken because he didn't have enough money. He couldn't believe that he was now buying chicken for 30,000 won. Money is good. Suddenly, Jun received a notification. A new order. Before, he would have immediately stopped eating and gone to work, fearing the loss of the order. Now that he has 10 billion won in his account, missing a couple of orders won't make a difference. There was unrest on Olympus. The man said that the ruler needed to escape from here before the monster broke inside. The ruler asked where the heroes were. The man replied that he had sent them to everyone he could, but they would not arrive here earlier than in 3 days. Suddenly there was an explosion, and a huge minotaur entered the building. Jun finally came to Hephaestus, but no one was there anymore. Lucy said maybe they left because they were late. Jun said that she ate too much. Judging by how many times the delivery request has been sent, it is urgent. Suddenly, Hephaestus came and he was gloomy, and asked if June had come after all. Why was there such bad energy coming from him today? Jun wondered. Hephaestus said that the matter was urgent. It was better to discuss the details of the matter inside. Once inside, Hephaestus said that he didn't even know where to start. Jun asked where all the tension came from. He will do whatever he says. Until now, he had only been excited when he met Myron, and even then he hadn't shown it. Hephaestus asked June if she remembered what they had talked about with Freya. June asked about what he had advised him to forget. They obviously said something about splitting the earth, but they themselves told him to forget about it. Hephaestus said he would like to deal with this problem only with the powers of the gods, but the situation is too serious. Apparently, they had reached the point where they were powerless. The meeting was the result of a gathering of 12 gods who had gathered to discuss the recent problem with the emerging tentacles. They took root not only in the world of the gods of Greece and Scandinavia, but also in the world of people. Even the gods can no longer do anything about what has already grown into the earth. A deity should not interfere in earthly affairs over trifles. Fortunately, they cannot move on their own. At best, the seeds that have already been sown will simply sprout, June said. But what he is saying now is who they are and what kind of seeds, Hephaestus answered. But suddenly the guys seemed to freeze for a moment and did not hear anything. Then Hephaestus realized that they were not supposed to know, so they did not hear. Apparently, in the past, the gods joined forces to seal away the knowledge of their very existence, and now even revealing their name is forbidden. Be that as it may, there is no need to rush to find out all the details. What he asks him for may be somehow connected with them. In fact, today offerings were supposed to arrive from Crete, but they still haven't received anything. Luckily, they definitely couldn't forget about it because of the meeting with their uncle. But if he found out about it, he would be very angry. Jun said it didn't seem like it was that big of a problem. Maybe the offerings were delayed for some reason. Lucy said that in other places you could turn a blind eye to such things, but not when it comes to the Minotaur. The story of a queen who encroached on Poseidon's offering, which made him very angry. This is a story about a terrible labyrinth. Once you enter it, you will never get out. Jun was driving on the sea, but then a notification came. June remembered that driving on the sea with a helmet has a time limit. They finally found a place to stay, June said. June said he thought they were going to drown. Lucy said he never prepared properly. Then June opened a store, since he can't swim, but he wasn't happy with the prices. That's why he said he knew this would happen, so he took it with him. Even though he put everything he needed in it, it still has a lot of space. It was clearly worth the effort he had put into bringing down the Red Dragon. Suddenly, a crowd of warriors came running to June, and they said that June had invaded their lands. But then a guy came up and asked Jun if he could tell him more about himself. He just wants to know who their guests are, said the guy. Lucy called him Theseus. This is the legendary hero who defeated the Minotaur and escaped from his labyrinth. He was the king of Athens who accomplished many feats, and therefore earned great respect among the gods and people. Theseus said that judging by his strange outfit, he was the same delivery man of the gods. June asked if he knew about him, and the guy answered, of course, June is dressed in such an interesting outfit. He is the budding hero that the captain was talking about. The captain, the one who ordered to kill the sirens, although June almost died. Thanks to this task, he received a lot of money. Jun asked why they called him a budding hero. Theseus asked if he didn't know about his reputation. He exterminated the sirens in their lair and even defeated the Hydra to heal Chiron's leg, and even made it to Helheim. June is already famous. There is no one who has not heard of his achievements. Lucy asked what they said about her, but Theseus said that he knew almost nothing about Lucy. Theseus said, June is going to go to Crete. Then he should read this. June asked Lucy what it said. Lucy replied that it was a warning that the monster from the labyrinth had been reborn. Then June asked if Theseus had not defeated the Minotaur. Theseus replied that he had not killed him, but had locked him up. And he doesn't know why, but it seems the Minotaur has been released. So tomorrow morning, he's going to catch him again. June hoped that at least this time he would not have to fight. But as always, everything did not go according to plan. June agreed to go with Theseus. In the morning, June woke Lucy up and said that the boat would be arriving soon, so stop sleeping. The captain decides when they will sail. June told Lucy to wash up and get ready. June asked if Theseus had managed to find them worthy companions. Theseus said at night that the boat would sail at dawn, and he would try to assemble a crew. June asked if Theseus had not run away from the Minotaur in the past. Theseus replied that the princess of Crete had helped him. His appearance is a heavenly punishment for trying to deceive the gods, a disgrace to the royal family of the island of Crete, the fruit of a forbidden relationship. So vicious and disgusting that it is difficult to even talk about it. According to legend, the monster should be dead. In fact, that is why he is in such a hurry to start the journey. If it were possible, he would like to kill him with his own hands. June said that meant there was no need to assemble a team, but Theseus replied that he thought so too, and then heard it from the messenger of Hercules. Perhaps it has something to do with what Hephaestus was trying to tell him. Jun said how tired he was of fighting monsters. Without knowing it, he signed up for some nonsense. The boys arrived and Theseus said that they would soon be sailing, so they had better get on board. Jun was surprised by the size of the ship. This vessel looks like the ship from One Piece. Suddenly June heard a squeaky voice, and he thought it belonged to a nymph. And he was right. A nymph appeared and asked who the nymph from the ditch was with her master, who were surprised because of such a boat. Lucy ran to hug him, but the boy wasn't thrilled about it. Apart from Lucy, Juna sees a nymph for the first time. He said that Lucy said that she was tall for a nymph. It turns out that this is a lie. Suddenly, Theseus said in an unusually angry voice. He ordered the nymph to take the guests to their cabin. June supported the boy by saying that everything was fine. Theseus apologized and again asked them to go to the cabin. Lubor led them to the cabin, and the boys were delighted with the beautiful room. The boy thanked Jun for helping him. June said that Lucy's friend was like a younger brother to him. This did not suit Lucy, and they started arguing. Lubor said that Lucy had met a wonderful hero. June asked what was wrong with him. Maybe Theseus was treating him badly. Lucy said that Theseus was kind to everyone. In general, they are nymphs, just helpers, so June is unusual for everyone. The gods and heroes he met treated the nymph as an object. Greek myths come from a time when slavery was the norm, something that is difficult for modern people to understand. They arrived on the island of Crete, but it was destroyed. People died a terrible death here, Theseus said. The Minotaur did all this. They must find survivors as soon as possible. Ubor pointed to the hole back. The Temple of Poseidon seems to have decided not to touch it. If the Minotaur had destroyed the temple, it would not have ended with a simple punishment. The bloody trail ends in front of these doors, Theseus thought, and opened them. Theseus breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that there were survivors hiding there. But there were too few of them here, and the king was not there. Then a man ran up to Theseus. He said that the monster grabbed the king and dragged him into a terrible labyrinth from which there was no escape.